Good afternoon and happy May. My name's Hawk, and I'm a Malifaux player. I've gotten 6 games in the open beta for Malifaux 4E, and I thought I would give a little recap and run through the changelog for the May 1st update for people who are interested. So Malifaux entered into an open beta for its 4th edition on the 21st. I'm going to give a review and recap on that first update, including some statistics, as well as some talk about my and community responses to the effort. And then I'm going to take a first look at the new changelog for the second update and kind of a live read for people who like that kind of approach. All this material is available on the Weird Games forum. You will need to log in order to see the beta material, but it's all available there in threads, and then all of the changelogs and stuff are available for everybody. So this is totally open as far as betas go. We saw 200 games completed in the open beta first iteration for the battle reports. I can't, of course, count every possible game. I know there's at least one game that got played, right, that didn't get battle reported. I suspect that many more were played than were given reports here, but we did get 200 battle reports, which is pretty impressive to my mind for a game of Malifaux size. And shows a laudable interest in the community from participating. As we can see here, there's a real parity between a lot of the factions. There's a fat middle, as you would expect, of Explorers Guild, Neverborn, and Rezzers, with Outcast having a big leap in additional play. Part of this may be due to some of the supposed power of some of the Outcasts' keywords, but also the fact that Outcasts have some of the most popular keywords, some of their most popular keywords in this first release, whereas one of the most popular Explorers Masters was not in this release. Two of the most popular Guild Masters were not here. So the fact that Outcast got Obliteration, Mercenary, and Bandit, 3 of their most popular keywords, probably helped tip a little bit. Other than that, I would suggest that Outcasts are probably just a slightly more popular faction. We know historically Ten Thunders and Bayou have been less popular, and lately, especially, Arcanist have been less popular. There's a lot of reasons to sort of suggest why Arcanist was less popular at the end of 3E, but it's interesting to see that there wasn't a bounce back here. Although Arcanists are somewhat hampered in this case by having a little bit less variety in their keywords. Although, again, I would be willing to suggest that out of the keywords I've seen played, Arcanists may have one of the strongest in the current edition. Some notable additional pieces here. The title, the single title with the most plays for it was Victoria's Ashes and Blood at 16, and then Parker Most Wanted at 17. We know Victoria is a popular master, and having more Ashes and Blood games in particular played than several other keywords is not surprising, but I was a little bit surprised to see that Most Wanted came in so high. And again, I sort of begin to suspect that that is partially due to the power of that keyword, especially when you look at the other powerful keywords in this beta, which I would suggest are Performer with Star of the Show, Wizz-Bang, particularly the Enchanter, and Syndicate. We don't see as many Enchanter games, but we do see more games in all of those cases. That said, Bandit is only tied with Nightmare for the most popular keyword overall. Nightmare, we know, is very, very popular as a keyword. Historically, Neverborn has been extremely popular, so seeing that is also very interesting. Within Nightmare, Insomniac got 17 battle reports. For most folks, that would be Dreamer 2, although Dreamer has lost his hand manipulation effect. I would also begin to suggest that perhaps the fact that Nightmare was so heavily tested, along with the Marshal keyword, might have led some people to feel like those keywords in particular were a bit watered down and bland, as they have lost quite a bit of what used to make them unique. And in some cases, they don't feel like they've quite gained enough to make up for that. And that's something we'll talk about a little bit in the community takeaway. Moving from 3 to 4E, if you're not aware, we see a huge bucket of changes. There's no more damage flips. We have a fixed initiative system. We've gone to 4 turns. There's doubled scoring on turn 4 for strategies. There's catch-up mechanics on strategies. schemes chain into each other in a really cool system, and you can double score a scheme. Line of sight and terrain are simplified. Conditions aren't stacked. Markers are limited. We have this whole new thing called crew cards, which take things like the crew upgrades that Oni and Witness had and just apply them to everybody. And there's a lot more changes beyond that, including a broad simplification of many of the models. And these have generally, I would say, been received with the kind of mixed response you would expect from a big change. You see responses in every direction, which we'll get into a bit later. I want to give my personal experience so you guys know what my biases are. For some background, I'm a mid-low table competitive player primarily. I like the theme of Malifaux. I've played a session of Through the Breach. I've read a lot of the lore material. But my primary driver is a deep and engaging game where your order of action is very important, where resource management is really important, and where positioning is really important. And I think that 4E, I find to be a place where the apparent ceiling to me so far on the breadth and depth of your choices has gone down. The value of resource management has gone way down, which I will talk about. And this, again, will probably be aligned with the fact that I played 3 games with Syndicate and then games with other crews that could draw cards or have natural advantages. And as a result, I never felt the hand pressure as an important element that I kind of like to feel in Malifaux. But positioning is as important as always, maybe more so. There are a couple of reasons for this that I'm not going to go to in too much depth, but that was my feeling. As you can see here, here's my breakdown. It's a less complex Malifaux, currently quite unbalanced, but it's the first week of an open beta, and while it is more unbalanced than Malifaux usually it is less unbalanced than I expected. I have not yet encountered a crew like Release Witness or Changelog at the beginning of M3E where I just felt completely unable to hang. There is a general feeling that crews are pretty bland. From the 5 crews I've played, and the 6 additional crews I've seen across from me, they all felt at least a little distinct, and mostly they felt quite distinct. Much more distinct than like armies feel in other games in my experience. Certainly more distinct than armies feel in Infinity or Conquest, the other 2 games I've played a decent amount of. Skill ceiling probably has come down. Don't know how much. But I really love a couple of the ideas here, crew cards, branching schemes, and it's shiny and new. I love learning a shiny new thing. I get it. There are just some changes that need to happen, so I'm excited to look at the changelogs. But my personal experience are only part of the picture, so I've gone ahead and collected a broad set of feedback from the forums. These are mostly from battle reports. They're mostly from people who I find well written on the battle reports, but I've tried to have like kind of a balance of opinions here. This is from a thread that Maniacal Cackle put up. It's the most popular thread in the battle reports by a country mile. And he underlines here sort of a general concept I've seen a lot of people bring up. It's bland and boring. Game has some interesting stuff going on. And that the correct answer currently appears to just be kill and score as much as you can alongside the murder. That was sort of how 3E often shook out at the end of the game. It's not how Cackle personally likes to play, and it's not what a lot of people come to Malifaux for. I know Weird Justin, the primary designer of the game, has talked a little bit about how he's seen people win games of 4E while having no models on the table, not a condition that he had seen in 3E. And that's exciting. That is a thing about Malifaux that is cool, that you can be tabled and still win, that you can use control effects to effectively manipulate the game state to your advantage enough that you can win without focusing on murder. But it doesn't feel like murder is, scheming is as effective here. Part of that is because scoring does not produce a compound advantage, right? It's like investing your money. You get interest on it. Well, if I have a model that kills one of your models, I now have an advantage the next turn that can then get bigger because I'm already ahead. If you score, you're actually going to lose an advantage because the game has a catch-up mechanic in it currently. And the end result is, therefore, that you should avoid scoring early and build as much of a board advantage as you can and try to score late. Now, there are a couple suggestions people have put it together for this, but that is, I think, one of the core tensions at the heart of this 4E. Game design feels faster and more streamlined. That is something that has universally been said across the board. There is some discussion from people about whether or not that's good. It comes back to that bland and boring. Faster, streamlined kind of links to bland and boring, not necessarily to bland, but certainly streamlined and boring can be the same thing. Token mechanics feel like they are hard to maintain and use. Game feels better overall. Game feels long. It may be faster and streamlined, but it's still Malifaux. I have played 6 games, and my most recent game we played 3 turns, and it took us 2.5 hours. We were promised a faster game than that. Now, admittedly, both Cackle and I were playing with sort of an approach that is not uncommon in the online space, where you sort of path out a lot of actions rather than trying and seeing the outcome. So definitely, it could have been faster, and I think it will be faster as we move forward. Game was very fun, fast-paced, tactical. Didn't miss damage flips, initiative, or pass tokens. This is a thing that goes back and forth. Some people miss damage flips. Very few people miss initiative. I think I might be the only person I've seen say they miss initiative specifically. And the pass system has garnered some back and forth. Some more notes from Cackle. Still focused on killing. The best models are mobile beaters. Mobility is too high. Joss is speed 7 and has a 6-inch place that gives him an attack. So he can move 13 inches while attacking 3 times. The lack of damage flips reduces RNG and therefore makes things feel less swingy. And generally, there's a stat squish effect that feels present. I don't know if this is true or not. I would have to actually look at the numbers. That makes it feel like every flip is kind of the same. The exception here is like, all right, there's more access to plus flips for the empower mechanic, which actually increases that feeling of excitement and RNG. Okay, I think this one matters, but I'm investing in a flip instead of planning to cheat. And then a thing that I have seen, which I think is a really good feeling. It's very reminiscent of the feeling of, okay, I know I'm going into a negative flip and I need to flip moderates or severes on this negative in order to stay in the game. And when that goes off, it feels great. That element of Malifaux is reduced here. You don't have RNG on initiative. You're never going to Black Joker an initiative flip and suddenly be like, well, it doesn't matter that I had a plan that gave me a bonus in initiative going ahead. That's never going to happen, right? It's all quite controlled. And in particular, with things tending towards most crews only get to see, 8 to 10 cards a turn. You are cheating less. You're empowering less. You are incentivized to take only potent actions, which further emphasizes actually the power of high stone models. And lastly, internal synergies seem too weak. Lots of crews feel like there are not enough using of the specific tokens and markers that the crew puts out, or things that really line up neatly. Crews seem very samey. This is part of that, I think. That is not has not felt as true to me, but I think it is especially exacerbated again by the fact that it is just currently feels more efficient to just do some killing. Games more accessible, faster, and help prevent lost cause games. We should consider other solutions to the kill foe problem of M3E. This is from a post by Bathysphere in the general section of the forums that has one of the best write-ups on why killing is good in Malifaux and why one would want to, what one could do to adjust that. Highly recommended reading. Fundamental design of the game feels more closed and directed rather than open for discovery. Crew card abilities seem a little meh, especially ones that require soulstone. Wow, that was underwhelming. There are a couple players who I've seen talking about this who are previous extremely competitive players who are really down on the game, and I sympathize with them a lot. They often highlight the fact that the removal of complexity makes it feel less rewarding to develop a deep systems knowledge. And that is probably true. I've seen some people talk a little bit about how the change to damage in particular, removal of damage flips makes combat less interesting. The choices around, can I squeak through a card to cheat a high card in? Does my opponent have that high card? That level of excitement is gone. And the fact that an attack now requires a single card to do what it's going to do, and you don't have that second card going in, means that the hand pressure there is reduced a little bit. And overall, I think I really sympathize with that position. For casual play, it's still Malifaux, so I am a little concerned that we are maybe chasing something that is a little bit impossible given the core structure of Malifaux. Skirmish tabletop games are already a hard in for a lot of people. Malifaux has theoretically a lower cost for an initial investment in a keyword than a lot of other games, right? You spend $200 and you're in. That's on par with or less than Infinity. And that $200, it can be a lot less if you're willing to just buy one crew that is less than optimal. However, it's still a complex game. We require more terrain now. It is a hard into the game. Getting it to a position where it's more accessible for kitchen table play, if that is your goal, if you have identified in your metrics or your marketing that is your ideal target growth area, rather than maintaining competitive players or building yourself up as a competitive focused game or a highly complex, deep and engaging game. You're trying to walk that line between this is a game that you can pick up and play on your kitchen table and it is deep enough to be engaging, is really difficult. And I fear that, we're going to lose out on what has made Malifaux 3E the one miniatures game I kept coming back to. So I'm very hopeful because I've seen good signs from the Weird team that they're working towards improving these things as that you would hope during an open beta. And I'm very excited to see where we go from here. But, I cannot say that my excitement is not heavily tempered. Where do we go from here? So if you have strong feelings about Malifaux, you should submit as many battle reports with quality detail that you feel support your position. I don't want to... There are lots of ways to get these games in. Go play in person, play using Vassal, play using other online systems. But it is clear from their statements and from Justin's comments in places that these battle reports are highly valued by their team. And if you want to see the game move in a particular direction, then you should give the feedback by testing models and crews, because that is what they have said they are looking at most. I don't think they are going to respond particularly well to even extremely well-written posts with no backing. That does not appear to be the response that it has gotten, so try to produce that evidence. For me, I've already given my current position, but I do feel if the balance was sharpened up, if killing was less incentivized, and model or crew cards were a little more interesting, we start to see some of the folks on the fence tip toward 4E with more excitement. So if combat can bring back some of the old magic and the crew cards can get a little bit extra spice and power and intricacy, and if killing were not the premier way to do things, I think many of the players who are ambivalent would start to get excited again. So I'm very hopeful we see ourselves moving in that direction. And to that end, we're going to go ahead and review the 501 changelog. So I'm going to put a little break in here. There'll be, chapter titles. This part is going to be very sprawling and sort of back and forth. I'm probably going to end up downloading and opening a bunch of new files. So don't mind me if I have to open things. Feel free to skip in or out. So into the changelog. Part 1, core rules. People miss silly themed lists. They are uncapping the amount of versatile models a crew can hire. In exchange, the total number of non-keyword, non-versatile moves that can be hired by a crew is being reduced. Okay. This is fine. I think out of keyword, non-versatile hiring from 3 to 2 is fine. I don't think that affects anyone who is doing anything interesting at the moment. I think it prevents some really silly things in the future potentially. And crews may not hire any number of versatile models they wish. We're going to see versatiles get a little bit knocked down, I think, as a result, but that's fine. Rather than forcing all strategies to score a double VP on the last turn, we're adding an additional VP section of strategy cards. This will have different turns and therefore different pay slots to be emphasized for different strategies. This is great, actually. I like the idea of being able to score double VPs on a particular turn. The fact that you can do it on the last turn still means killing is effective, but it doesn't mean killing is only effective, because if you can blitz in and score double VPs on the first turn, potentially on some of these strategies, then that makes scheming more viable. So that's already, I think, a good change. It's affecting their actions to score points for killing the other. The maximum number of VPs from schemes has gone from 5 to 6, meaning there are 11 points possible in a game. I've seen some people say they think this just encourages more killing. Assassinate is already the easiest scheme in the pool to get 2 points on. Well, this just makes me want to do Assassinate more. I do think 6 is a hard number to reach in the current setup. There are some paths that allowed it, but we'll see if scheme paths change. And I do think if you are trying to score 1-1-2-2 or 0-2-2-2, you can't just spend 2 turns killing. If your opponent is able to keep up on their side of the board. Now, they probably won't. If killing is as potent as we've seen, if models are as strong as we've seen. People are confused about pulses and LOS. Pulses, the object emanating the pulse needs line of sight to the object affected by the pulse, not the other way around. Oh, that's interesting. Having it be one way is fine. There's very few cases where line of sight's not one way right now, so that's good. Replace effects, no longer discard upgrades. We've been given a reason here. I'm going to pause and say I love this format of changelog where we get a reason, the thing. So this is good. One of the more confusing situations in F3E occurred when a model gained a condition during the end phase that was supposed to do something during the end phase. This is to solve Flicker. This came up as soon as Obliteration was previewed, because Flicker plus Echo, well, they come back with Flicker. Do they die immediately? I'm in the end phase. It never felt like it should work that way, so having clarity for that. We separated targeting from declare action. As a result, server effects require costs to be paid on the target, such as deal 1 damage to the target, could not be paid. Merging the section back together, but keeping the strict bullet time to retain that clarity. Okay. So targeting and declaring has been combined again, but there's a subdivision in where you kind of have to do things in a particular order. Found effects increase the damage, dealt by an action. Confusing, because it's unclear whether or not that applied to the triggers. We are adjusting additive damage, raises, critical strike to directly increase the damage stat of an action, nothing more, nothing less. Now directly and temporarily adjust the damage stat of action. One of the things this affects is people are very confused for some reason about whether increase your damage twice on attacks that did damage twice. So, great. This is a nice clarification. I think this is probably how it was clearly always meant to be, but it's good to see it explicit here. It is unclear whether or not the red Joker generated extra raise when it was cheated or just if it was flipped. Whether you choose it for duel or cheat it while your opponent isn't looking, you get your raise. They now get an additional raise always. Additionally, alone prevents your opponent from cheating until it is discarded, just like the black Joker. This is interesting. I don't like the red Joker giving them free raise from hand. I can't say why. It just feels less good. It feels like the RNG when you flip it was better. That said, I understand that simplifying it and having it be one thing in all places is probably good. After performing step to duels, after resolving step and resolving actions, so cards stick around. This just makes things a little bit clearer. Assume leadership. Change the chosen henchman to the crew's leader. To avoid the confusion, we have renamed the effect. Assume leadership effect renamed to take command. That's fine. These are fine. I'm wording to make it clearer. Obey to tell model to charge. Charge action cannot generate actions itself. We've just to allow charge to be an exception to this rule. Yep, fine. Good. That's how we thought it was supposed to work, so good. There exists some awkwardness in the killing time chart involving demise. To avoid a situation where model could benefit both from an after killing trigger without the killed model, actually being killed, We've broken demise steps into the 2 timings when this model is killed and after this model is killed. Now any healing or replace demise will occur during step 1. Any other demises will occur during step 3 when the model has really and truly been killed. Nice clarity on timing, that's fine. While the control section of the rulebook prevented obeying models from controlling actions that killed a model as a cost, it technically said nothing about abilities or trigger that killed a model as a cost. That loophole has been patched. This is the Teddy loophole. Totally fine. Strategies. Collapsing Minds has been rewritten. Good. Recover Evidence has been rewritten. Fine. Those are the 2 that I would like to see rewritten. I assume this also doesn't include they have 2 points now, and immediately I'm going to go ahead and grab this draft strategy cards. Collapsing Minds. 5 strategies. Center of each table quarter and 1 on each center point. Same, I think. They begin neutral. I believe that is such a case. Tilts take 2 actions. At the end of every turn, the crew with the most friendly strategies gains 1 VP. If the crews are tied, both crews gain 1 VP. And additional VP once per crew per game. At the end of a friendly activation, the crew may select a strategy marker completely the enemy table off and remove a number of friendly scheme markers from within one of it, equal to the... Okay, so you need to scheme now in your King of... This is good. This is great. You need to get schemes down near something on the enemy half of it to get additional VP. That feels great. You can really blitz this with some crews. You know, Colette can absolutely get a single scheme marker and a model to that marker turn 1 as the last AP or last 2 APs, activations rather, and that feels cool. I note very happily that there is now no way to remove strategy markers as a catch-up mechanic. Good. Enough. That was my least favorite thing. Okay, I'm done. Boundary Dispute still has the same catch-up mechanic. And Boundary Dispute specifically says double any victory points gained from the strategy on turn 4. That's interesting that for some of them, the additional VP is just the old mechanic. I wonder if we're going to see that for Informants as well. Let's go and check. Yep. So some of them now just say turn 4. I wonder if there's an intent to change that when they figure out a way that they want to do it, or if they just want some of them to always work like this. It's very interesting. Informants also still has the same. Yeah. No. Make 5 strategy markers. More. That's yeah. No. This is the same. Informants is the same. Recover Evidence has been rewritten. Additional VP. Select a piece of terrain within 6 of the enemy deployment zone and remove a number of friendly... Okay, so now we have a sort of additional scout effect here on top of picking stuff up. That's good. And no catch-up mechanic. Again, so interestingly, these ones that have been written have lost their catch-up mechanic both in the last turn 4 points and in the way they reward additional VP and the manipulation that gives you additional markers or removes markers. Again, I wonder if we're now going to see 2 classes of strategy, if we're going to have ones that work the way the 421 revision did, where we've got this turn 4 incentive. So maybe this turns Boundary Dispute and Informants into the kill a foe ones, and Collapsing Minds into Recover Evidence have a little bit more incentive to be somewhat more scheme heavy or like evasive. It's interesting. We'll have to see how that plays out. I think I would like to see all of them change to be like Collapsing Minds and Recover Evidence are now, but I'm happy to see how this shakes out. This is a great change and a great start. Schemes. 3 new schemes added. So all next available scheme sections changed. If you are unaware, this is the scheme chaining mechanic I briefly mentioned. Every single scheme, when you score it, chains into up to 3 schemes. So let's see what other changes we have here. Assassinate rewritten. Good. It's got the rooftops rewritten. Good. Harness the leyline. Range between markers increased to 6. Good. Search the area rewritten. Fine. Take the high ground rewritten. Probably good. Light the beacon markers must be completely on the enemy half. I don't like this, and I will talk about why now. The major thing is it doesn't allow you to do harness and light the beacons with the same markers. I think it is better to bluff those 2 things together. If you are in a pool that is both harness and light the beacons, and you can successfully score light the beacons or harness, actually, no, those 2 overlap. I don't know how I feel about this. I'm going to have to think about that. My initial thought was I didn't like it, but that might be wrong because harness and light the beacons already overlapped maybe too much. Let's look at our rewritten schemes. Breakthrough's the same, frame draws the same. Assassinate. When this scheme is selected, this is longer. Secretly choose a unique enemy model that is not a totem or peon, that has its maximum health remaining. And that has its max. It has to be... Okay. And now it is bring to half, kill. So here's the problem. Not a totem or peon is fine. But there are a lot of models that will be at maximum health that will die in a breeze. And the reveal additional VP doesn't prevent you from just absolutely obliterating somebody in a single shot. I do like they have to be at maximum health remaining, and you are being incentivized to kill less important models. The setup and knock them down situation in Assassinate was not very good. We've got Scout, which we were told changed. Not within 6 of your deployment zone. And it's just 2 pieces of terrain. It no longer cares about height. And then 1, which is completely on the enemy table half. Remove an additional friendly scheme marker, so you still need 3. Good. I think most of them need to go to the point where additional VPs costs 3 scheme markers instead of 2. Detonate, I believe, stayed the same. Snare stayed the same. Make it look like an accident did not change. Harness did not change. Search the area changed. I think I saw we've got search the area. There was a typo around search the area. It's not important. Select a piece of terrain completely on the enemy table half. Good. 3 friendly scheme markers. Good. 3 is good. Remove 1 friendly scheme marker from within 1 inch of the selected terrain to gain 1. Interesting. 3 friendly scheme markers from within 1 that do not have any models within 2 to gain 1 VP is a harder thing to get over. It has to be completely on the enemy table half. It's harder to get over. And you may remove 1 friendly scheme marker from the 1. This one doesn't have to be outside of 2 of your enemy. That's an important thing to remember. You will sometimes get a point in via that. Your opponent needs to cover. Make sure you don't have 3. But the 4th one, if they're contesting it, that's fine. Take the high ground. This one got changed. Contesting a terrain. At least 3 height 2 or greater terrain pieces that are not within 6 of your... So it takes 3. It's not within 6 of your deployment zone as opposed to what it was previously. I don't recall what it was previously. I think there's a pretty good chance it was on the enemy table half instead. I'm going to pull up the 421 revision and see if I can find take the high ground. Take the high ground previously said not in your deployment zone and you needed 2 height 2 or greater. However, one thing I want to note is this requires tables to be built a very specific way. It's something to keep in mind that you must, in order for take the high ground to be available, you must have 3 height 2 or greater terrain pieces outside of all deployment zones, and at least 1 of them needs to be completely in the enemy table half. Now, why does it have to be outside of all deployment zones? Because if there is a chance you can stick your opponent such that they are, it's impossible for them to do this, that feels really bad. And I think there are going to be a lot of boards where this is just not possible. Now, you can't really stick your opponent with it, actually, because of the chaining. Maybe this is okay, actually. I just, we're being incentivized to put this height 2 terrain out. I think it's okay for it to not always be available, but it does, again, further incentivize us to try to make sure that we have terrain around the center sides of the board and in the center, like sort of that cross shape. Interesting. Light the beacons completely. Yeah. Yep. Otherwise, it looks like it's the same. I don't know. Light the beacons and harness could have gotten harder, I think. And snare could have gotten harder. And did ensnare not change? And snare didn't change. Ensnare was pretty easy for a lot of crews. Anyway, new one. Reshape the land. Secretly choose a marker type. If there are 4 friendly markers of the chosen type completely on the enemy table half. If there are 5 friendly markers of the chosen type completely. So this is your marker reward scheme. This is your reward for choosing a marker. For bringing a marker crew. Particularly a marker crew that puts markers out but doesn't eat them. and wants to do so across the board. That might be DUA right now. It might be Foundry right now. Good to see marker crews get an option. I prefer Graves style effects where you have to have a marker in a scheme to just have markers, but fine. Public demo. Rewarding minions again. When this scheme is selected, secretly choose a unique enemy model and don't kill it. Previously in M3E, there were a lot of people who thought any scheme which said don't kill was bad. Time will tell if that is the case. I want to note 3 or more friendly minions within 2 of the chosen model gain 1 VP. This is a hard thing to do currently. Not because you there are crews which can definitely do it, so those crews will get a little bump from this. But the problem is most crews we are seeing are not bringing 2 friendly minions, let alone 3. So I think this is going to not get taken a bunch. I will note it chains into Assassinate. I got to check how many things chain into Assassinate. Quite possibly you'll see people do a thing they did previously, if Assassinate is still good, which I think it might be, where they specifically take a scheme turn 1 so that they can go into Assassinate. Lastly, leave the mark. Great, yeah. Overload the center point with schemes. Good. We don't have anything that says go to the center point except for some of the strategy stuff, so good to have a scheme that says go to the center point. Yeah. Scheme changes. I think these are generally good. I like scoring to 6. Let us score to 8. Fuck it. Why not? Take the gloves off, Justin, see what happens. I like the changes to Assassinate. I don't know that it entirely hits the mark. This reminder will never fail to make me laugh. So put more of these on scheme cards, even if they're not necessary. I know they just take up extra text. They're actually bad practice, but make me laugh, Justin. Do it. Changes to Scout feel great. I was a huge proponent of Scout. The rooftop is miserable. It used to be that. Let me show you. Scout the rooftop said just 2 friendly scheme markers that are not within 2 of enemies and are on different pieces that are height 2 or greater. You could do this in your deployment zone on a lot of boards, which felt just bad. Additionally, the additional VP not being entirely meant that large buildings, you could score that second VP for free. So good to see that change. That's schemes. I'm feeling good about them generally. One last thing to check is how many things go into Assassinate. Breakthrough goes into Assassinate. You never want to score Assassinate. Score Breakthrough. Assassinate no longer goes into Frame Job. That's probably good. People complain about that a lot. Harness goes into Assassinate. You will see people go Harness into Assassinate successfully. You would like to Assassinate, you want to be your second scheme. I think you can score Harness first turn in a lot of deployments, in a lot of crews. I was previously a Runic Binding hater, but honestly, this is not as hard as I thought it was because it's end of activation. And public demo, which is very hard to do. So now the only scheme that goes into Assassinate that is like, yeah, this is a slam dunk, I can score a point or 2 off of this, is Harness. And they made Harness a little bit tougher, so you can't do it trivially with a model that just can nudge 4 inches or whatever and use its base 3 inches and use its base width to have 2 markers outside of 6. And now takes, or outside of 4, you previously had to nudge what? You've got 1 inch, so that's 2, and your base width. So you really only needed to move an inch, I think, in order to do it previously. Now you need to at least have 3 inches of movement. Most models can do 3 inches of movement if they can do any. So I don't think this is a huge change, but it's a good one. Overall, I'm pretty positive on these changes. The change to Assassinate feels good. Assassinate no longer going into Frame Job feels good. We will have to see how the graph looks from here, but I think it should be improved. Abilities, actions across many models. Terrifying. A lot of people didn't like Terrifying previously. It reduced your stat when attacking them if your willpower wasn't high enough. Now, you may not declare triggers or drain soul stones during duels with this model. Yes, defense attack duels. That's fine if the number comes down a little bit. I think this is more impactful than the stat difference personally, but we shall see. Don't mind me. They can now target markers with enemies in base contact. This is great. This is the thing. So many people complained about it. Heroic Intervention, the target must be engaged. That's great. That fixes the major problem with Heroic. The place, it's still being a place, is not great, but at least now there is a condition that doesn't let you just go full speed. Take the hit is now once per activation. After another, deal the same amount to reduce the damage altogether. Yeah, that feels fine. It's instead of suffers the effects. I miss suffers the effects, man. That seems so clear to me. All instances of backup removed from versatiles is unnecessary. Sure. Yeah, that was the you can hire your whole box if you hire this model. Don't Mind Me and Heroic Intervention are great changes. I think Terrifying is a miss. I think Take the Hit is a miss, but these are small things that I'm willing to see how they shake out. Did not see a lot of Terrifying. I played one game against Karai 2, and it didn't feel super impactful. Maybe this will feel more impactful, but again, if it does, I would like to see the willpower number come down a little bit. I may be a little bit biased from playing Explorers, but part of the problem here is that triggers are like the fun part of Malifaux still. Like, will I get this trigger? Can I get this trigger? That's fun. All right. Now we are into changes to models. If you want to bail out here, feel free. I'm going to focus a little bit on... Sorry, I already saw something I'm excited about. I'm going to focus on the models that I played against and think were very strong or very particularly weak. But all these, this ability was rewritten, this action was rewritten. We'll see. I want to highlight Joss goes for damage 4 to 3, and delay trigger was deleted. Hell yeah, brother. That feels good. Joss is probably still playable with this lineup, but probably not as like auto include into every current keyword. So yeah, let's go in depth here. If you're hanging around and watching this at this point, that is probably, if not what you want, then you can bail out. So we are starting with Arcanist files. We'll get Theory Foe up. If you have not used Theory Foe is the premier way to look at Malifaux cards for the beta. This will not be updated yet, so we can just use it to backdoor our way into looking at the changes. As you can see, Arcanist only had 3 keywords. I hypothesize that's part of what kept them from being more popular as a faction. All right, back to changes. We see Aggressive Legislation Crew card. Safety Inspection made a signature action, increased to range 8. So that is the Union President one. Is that right? Sorry for flipping around. Aggressive Legislation, yes. So previously, this said spend a stone, range 4, ouch, deal 2 damage to target engaged ally to summon a model. Now it is much cheaper. Also note, it comes in with 4 health instead of 2. That's not in the change log here, but that is a huge change. A ton of folks complained about this issue with M&SU, where you are spending a stone to give up an action to gain a slow model that had a summon token with 2 health, and you were dealing 2 damage, and it just felt so bad. This feels like a great change. I don't know if it is enough to push the numbers on Union President, a title that was, I think, never as popular as it deserved to be because it's cool as shit. Do we have any other changes to Union President? We have rewritten Picket Line and Spark of the Revolution. So previously, Picket Line was make a ski marker and base contact, give it a focus, and I've got your back to pull out engaged. And then the Spark of the Revolution was use Will of the Union on a second one. And now for Union Presidents, sorry, let me scroll in a more effective way. We have Heal 2, gain a shielded. Good. Fits in nicely with the crew card ability. And each model choose up to 2 other. Was it always 2 other? Yeah, it was 2 other. Now each model chosen by this action heals 2. Also good. Goes to that item earlier. Bringing healing up is good here, I think. They'd really, I think, knocked healing down a lot on a lot of the keywords we'd seen. And while at first I was like, great, models will actually die, after a minute I was like, oh, actually, models maybe die too fast. So I think some healing creeping back in is a good thing, especially in keywords where you have a more supportive master. Not that I think Bosses Beware is necessarily the weakest attack for a support master, because I don't know, Bosses Beware Language of the Unheard's pretty wild to me. Let's look at the troubleshooter stuff. Get your guard up and coded signals were rewritten. Troubleshooter previously had get your guard up, ski marker, give it a shielded. So this is a parallel of picket line. It gave a shielded instead of a focused. And then Mouse had coded signals, which makes a ski marker within 3. It's a 10-inch cast with 2 damage with pull and drag. Other than being skill 5, this is a pretty good looking gun. So let's see how that's changed. We now give heal 2 and gain focused on get your guard up. Did they just... Yeah, these like switched effectively. And they, instead of gaining a scheme, they now heal. I feel pretty okay about that. I think get your guard up often... Troubleshooter wants to do that to herself, which is totally fine, and then other times she's going to do it to her allies, totally fine. A bunch of people complained about her crew card, I believe, Union Dues, with Grit being not turned on very often. I kind of feel like Grit may be a little more common here, but we will have to see. Same with Union Turf, although this was really easy just because of how the summoning worked. Coded Signals now says if it gets a raise, this makes the action worse, but I think it's better like conceptually to add raises to things. Otherwise it's the same. I think if you're making this change, you can afford to make this a 6. But maybe I'm wrong. All right. And then we've got Amina, the captain, and Joss. I'm not sure why Amina is split up in 2 places. So we've only changed our unique models. And generally, I'm going to guess, we'll take a look, but I'm going to guess they came down in power. So starting with Amina Naidu. Previously, Amina said, we need Joss, Amina, the captain. Amina said, and when also in 6, cannot take an attack action generated by the charge or bring it action. After any model declares an attack action generated by a trigger charge, this model may drain a stone to cause that action to fail. I think that is generally worse, but there is an edge case where it's better. I think this is a good change. I think having a cost to your... Oh my god, actually, this is board wide. Okay, I think this is too good if it's board wide. So we'll have to see. It declares an attack action generated by the trigger of the charge action. That is very powerful. I think that is an interesting thing to put on this model. I think it might be what a support 9-cost model needs. It does have the ability to get extra movement. So its third AP or its signature is a real third AP. So I think this is generally a buff to Amina. And let's see. Excuse me, sir, and walk the line. Oh, very cool. They made a change that Jeremy requested, which is excuse me, sir, went to just excuse me. Good. After friendly ski marker within 6 is removed, this model may infuse 1 stone. Now once per turn, as opposed to once per activation. Probably good. We do not need to be printing 1,000 soul stones most of the time. Walk the line went from a TN 6 to a TN 7. I wonder if we're seeing that across the board. The captain previously had updraft, reduce all falling damage suffered by 0 to watch your head. Watch your head now says all enemies in base contact suffer an equal amount of damage. That is way better. That's very fun. That's flavorful. It is not effectively the same. That's a great change. I don't know if it's good, but Frankly, if every card had an ability that was not good but did something like this, I'm way into it. Way into it. And then Joss has mentioned the change here is all on arc axes. And there's a game-wide change to heroic. So he's still 6/6/7 with 13 demise lash out. That has not changed. He's still got everything else you expect. But now he has arc axes. They no longer read does not deal extra damage from raises, but now read target gains a slow token. And delay is off it, but it's damage 3. I'm a believer in slow tokens. I think a bunch of people tell you this is worse because just killing models is better. But with arc and reposition and heroic intervention, it is possible this is a change without much of a difference. I will say that engaged enemy only is a big difference on heroic, but people will make it work. So interesting to see how Josh shakes out here. I think I can't even say if he's better or worse. I would hazard to say he has come down a tiny bit, but not maybe as much as I would have previously hoped. Having read this, I misunderstood, especially because he now has damage on raises again. I don't know. I don't think raises are that big a deal at the moment. M&SU generally comes out ahead, except for Joss, who needed to come down. Performers. Okay, let's grab the performer cards. We have a lot of changes here. Blackbird gains an ability. Curtain Call changes. Core fee came down in health. Necessary. It was previously way too tanky. Probably they once had higher something. Take the Stage. The ability Showstopper rewritten. Smuggler's Pass. So both the crew cards got things rewritten. Good. I think we need this. Star of the Show. Rehearsed Read was rewritten and Convincing Illusion deleted. None of the changes Star of the Show that we wanted to see. That I wanted to see. That I thought were necessary. Smuggler. Now you see me replace the Vanishing Act. Corfu Duet. Power of the Dance reduced. And Cassandra and Shadowlark both to damage 2. This damage 2 on Shadowlark pretty necessary. Damage coming down on these models. So I had a game with Maniacal Cackle last night. If these changes were in there, I think he might not have won that game, right? If nothing, it changes on the cards I was playing, which of course is not what happened. Let's open up our performer cards, and we're going to start with our crew cards with Take the Stage and Smuggler's Path. So on Take the Stage, Showstopper was rewritten, I believe. Let me close some of these. I don't need all of these open at the same time. Showstopper, and then on Smuggler's Path, we have 2 abilities rewritten. So let's open up those in here. Previously, Showstopper was not a signature action. 6/06. Friendly scheme decoy only places model-based contact. Then this model may take the interact action, ignoring engagement. Seems fine. You weren't using a lot of. I mean, you could use a lot of soul stones just by sword tricking constantly. But that feels like a fine-ish ability, but not when you're going to action, rather, that you're not going to take that much. The change here is now signature. Good. I think these should all basically be signature. Declare the interact. The following do not restrict being engaged, leaving engagement with a walk. So they effectively have Don't Remind Me for Showstopper, rather than just ignoring engagement. Good. Yeah, good. Good tech. Not a big change, but a good one. The biggest thing here just being that this is a signature now. Again, make these all signatures. Worst comes to worst, by the way, Joss will now just use this as his 6-inch movement. So it'll be, well, he can't. He's not a friendly unique performer. Excuse me. Totally incorrect. Changelog. Smuggler's Path. People weren't playing Smuggler for some reason. Let's see. Smuggled Soulstone. If this model is the first ally to resolve the interact action of the opponent's deployments on this turn, it may infuse a stone. I'm only doing that on like standard, probably. Wedge the maybe, but I just don't see it. Divert attention, make a decoy, heal 1, place within 2. On a full action, but no TN. Pretty bad, I would say. I'm not excited about either of those. Now we have, if you have fewer than 5, infuse 1 while you interact while the enemy table half. Good. Huge change. Now a signature. Heal 2, place within 4 instead of heal 1, place within 2. They just doubled it. They doubled the motherfucker. And it's a signature now. Great. Yep, that's what we need to see. These are the kind of changes we want to see. I'm going to continue to say that every time I notice one. Blackbird, let's do our minions. Blackbird, Showgirl, Coryphée. Sorry, we'll do our masters first. We've got Now You See Me replaced with Vanishing Act, and Rehearsed Duet rewritten, and Convincing Illusion deleted. So Convincing Illusion used to be Give a Burning. It was never important. Rehearsed Duet was Drain to place within 6, a extremely powerful but costly defensive. And on the other one, we had Now You See Me. Goes into a decoy marker. Let's check the changes. Colette. Placed within 8, then the friendly model may be placed. It may be placed in a base contact with the attacker. Note, not an ally. Good. The swap is good. I think it's very flavorful. I think if you're spending a stone, it needs to be that good. I think it's okay for master defensives to be this good generally. This does make Colette impossible to kill in a lot of cases, which may or may not be fine depending on your opinion of Colette. I do not think losing the burning token matters in the slightest. They might have done that just to have space for the longer Rehearsed Duet language. And then Smuggler. Vanishing Act. Drain 1 to place the attacker within 5 of its current location. This is great. Also going to keep you alive a lot of the time. It is not as good as the other one, but the thing is you're disguised. So no one gets more than 2 attacks on you in a round. Pretty much. There are going to be some exceptions, like some master exceptions. Most models can only get 1. You're disguised. You draw an extra card. You have Vanishing Act. You make a decoy. Yeah, I'm not sure there's enough to push the needle on Colette Smuggler while Colette's star of the show is so good. But I'm excited to see people give it a try. Hopefully this is enough that people will give it a chance. I love the theming, even though it has not really lived up. Let's look at our expensive cards here. Cassandra and Shadowlark. No change to Carlos. So we've got Coryphée, Carlos, and Cassandra changed. Both Cassandra and Shadowlark, the changes, they came down from 3 to 2. Good. I'm for it. And the Coryphée duet, the changelog is Power of Dance rewritten and swept up in the moment increased to 5. Power of Dance was previously Pulse a Heal with a heal to itself. And swept up in the moment was +5. Was +3. You can spend a stone for +3. Dance Partner was already pretty good. And now, if we take a look at the old duet. Man, was it a 7/7? Man, okay, this model I might have underrated this model a little bit already. Yep, swept in the moment +5. And Power of the Dance is now heal 2 in range 5 with the same TN with the same trigger. So, and it's once per activation. I think that's good. I think you only want to do it once per activation. I think changing it to once per activation reduces some strangeness. And our minions, Coryphée's go down in health. Gain Curtain Call, gain Don't Mind Me. These are just Coryphée coming down to a reasonable number. Blackbird and Showgirl getting buffed. Overall, reduces the brawling power of the keyword, a keyword which is not really supposed to be a brawling keyword in my opinion. Does not reduce its ability to do kidnap and schemey things. I am excited to see this line more often. Fingers crossed. Witness. Let's pull up our witness cards. I played one game against Aspirant. So we will take a gander at how Witness has changed. We see Power Unleashed, Pursuit of Knowledge, Aspirant Unbound changed, and then Marco, Bellaventine, Loeth, and Dabbler all changed. So let's start with the Witness crew cards. Power Unleashed. What are we saying about these? We are saying added text to the top of the card, ritual setup, rewritten in dramatic fashion. This line in a changelog is, I appreciate it. I hope it is in dramatic fashion. So previously, Power Unleashed had no text at the top, arcane threads, lets you draw range, and ritual setup, let two people take prepares. We've added text and ritual setup has prepared. So when this crew remove a ski marker to score VP, may drain a stone to not remove them. That's good text. That's interesting text. And we have a different thing here. Oh my God. Aspirin has a wild piece of text. It's very funny. This is dramatically rewritten. Yep. Select any 3 ski markers. So ritual binding shape. All enemies within the area formed are dealt 2 damage against stun. All allies heal 3 gain adaptable. Then for the runic binding scheme, you may immediately reveal and score it. Justin. This was dramatically rewritten. Justin. I want more crew car abilities that say stupid shit like this. I have to say, I really like this. I don't know if it's good, but it is good for the game to have stuff like this in there. So please, more dramatically rewritten lines. Pursuit of knowledge. Added text to the top. Drain to select any available scheme regardless of next available scheme. So instead of chaining through, they can get to assassinate however they want. Pretty cool. And did they change infinite puzzle rewritten? That's just the trigger here, is it? Yes. Place the puzzle blocker in, and if it's not in place, summon it. This is now just summon within range. So summon hasn't changed, so this one no longer places it. Probably good. This doesn't cost a stone, so it's probably good to make your 6-inch interact for TN5 action that also potentially gives out a stun, that also places your totem to a little bit less if it's not going to cost a stone. Totally fine. Great. Cool. I heard Aspirin and Unbound got new abilities. Let's see what those are. So Aspirin, we have Aegis, Memories of the Yellow Crypt, and the Deep Dark Forest, where 2 + 2 = 5. Oh, yeah. After this model suffers damage from an attack, may drain a stone. If it does, it then heals an amount equal to the number of stones this crew has remaining. Cool. Yeah. Heal 4, heal 3, stop doing it. Seems good. I don't think you ever kill Aspirant as a result of Aegis and that, and the ability to move. He was already kind of, 14 health is a lot with Aegis and 6/6, but hey, that's how it goes. Previously Unbound had Beacon of Order and Aegis. What has he got now? Did I scroll right past him? I did not. Unbound now has no. Drain 2 to end the attacker's activation. Good. Enemy attack deals damage to this model, though. Drain 2 to end their activation. Yeah. Frankly, probably about the level of value you need to get off of a Drain 2 effect. I'm into it. I think I'm into it. Low hit goes to melee damage 3. Added trigger to Thrown Boulder. Belventine Thought. Outmaneuver once per activation, reposition deleted Marco. Gains a higher TN on Lashing Tendrils. Let's check them out. So Lohith, Belventine, and Marco. So Lohith has Resolve an action discard and adaptable, may heal 1, and Thrown Boulder has Reverberation on your heals. If we take a look here, Lohith now has drains a stone or modifies to a memory and adaptable token, and may heal 1. Good. We've gained the Mountain Crumbles, so that he has another way to spend a stone. Do this action damage to another enemy within 3 of the target. That's worth a stone. And yeah, bouncing your 3 damage onto somebody else is pretty good. Where was I? Melee damage down to 3. So was 4 down to 3. Seems good. Yeah, I'm into it. Belventine, previously outmaneuver, lets you move up to 2 friendly models within range, up to 3, and had reposition. Outmaneuver is once per turn and no longer has reposition. Yeah, seems fine. I'm into it. Makes you more likely to conflicted morals, although not in the first couple of rounds, which is kind of cool because of how the aspirant 2 + 2 = 5 thing works. And then Marco now has TN of 12 instead of 11. Okay, yeah, that's fine. nudge those around. Dabbler got a TN6. What was Dabbler doing? What does Etheric Passage even do? Etheric Passage had a TN of 5, remove an adaptable, move to 4, or up to 6. So it's a bad additional movement with a trigger. Yeah, that's fine. Oh, they have flight, so it's okay for that movement to be a little worse than like an onward. Generally, good changes. I think these changes are very fun. I do think we are not in Aspirant and Unbound are terrifying to me, but Aspirant I don't think you can ever kill against a player who positions correctly, knows what they were doing. He's tough. I personally really dislike on Bella the text on Arcane Firearm. I find stun to be the most annoying token, so I'm probably just going to have to bring token removal. And that's just how it has to be sometimes. And Versatiles, Hard to Kill is gone, gains health 13, Arcane Con flexibility added, and Piercing trigger removed. So new ability and Hard to Kill is gone, and health has gone up. So previously we were health 11 with Hard to Kill. With the Piercing trigger on Raging Gore, and now we have lost Hard to Kill, gained 2 health, and instead gained Arcane Conflux. Whoa! Friendly models within 6 may draw range and line of sight for cast actions from this model. These actions receive a plus flip. Pretty cool. Fitting with the theme of the theme of Arcanist, or like what you think Arcanist should be doing based on their name. So I'm not into it. So we'll have to see how that plays out. I will say noting 6 on any cast action is pretty frightening. There's lots of crews that seem built to not be able to node their attacks. Is that a projectile low hit? It is. Being able to node, you can already node the Unbound one, but being able to node Disillusion for an additional 12 inches is pretty good. 12 inches plus the base width. And then the thing I'm actually expecting here is Schweißschwung and Presto Changeo now have additional things. Presto Changeo in particular has lost the ability to do practiced preparation beforehand if you bring the Emissary. This is probably good. I don't miss losing Hard to Kill. I think that's fine. I think Hard to Kill is probably generally worth about 2 health. Some games it's worth a lot more, but those games are often bad feelings, so that's fine. Arcane Effigy, Hard to Kill removed, health 3. I'm not pulling that up. That's just +1 health and Hard to Kill gone. That's probably right. It's a 2-stone model. It having Hard to Kill and 2 health is probably not it. Covers Arcanist. What do I feel about Arcanist generally? Yeah, these are good changes. Damage is down. And a couple interesting changes made. Crew card power generally comes up a little bit on everybody. I am interested in Performer and Witness. I still think M&SU has a great theme, but I'm not sure these changes give them enough cool stuff. The closest thing is probably, I believe, that legislation forbid. Being able to deny charges board wide is cool. And also would hit my current boogeyman, assuming it doesn't change. So, Bayou. Let's jump over into Bayou. This is clearly going to be an extremely long video, so apologies in advance. Angler. All right. We got Angler up. Uncle Bog, Bruce, Judd and Honey, Brackish Bully, Tides of Meridian, Fisherfolk, and Ballyhoo. Pocket. So we've got changes to their crew cards. Nautical Nonsense and a new action on Brackish Bully. Brackish Bully for the Fisherfolk. Nautical Nonsense used to make 2 tide markers within range. Now, it is a signature that makes 1 tide marker within range. Does not cost a stone. That's probably good enough. And we have our stone costing 1, which is a signature. Caught a biggin. Node. If the attack succeeds, draw a card and discard the node. Great. I like it. I'm into it. More ways to use tide markers feels good. Yeah. Totally fine. I believe Tides of Meridian also changed. Oh no, Ogopogo. Blow up a Tide marker to give people a TN13 defense will be dealt 2 damage. Became signature. Probably needed to be. Our Masters, Bayou Bucket goes to damage 3. We have a new trigger, and Thrown Overboard is rewritten. Thrown Overboard used to be Drain a Stone, make a Tide marker. It now reads, oops, I'm going to need that in a second. Oh no, Ogopogo. And heal 2. That's good. You need more for a stone than just make a marker, so that's good. Even though they then benefit from that marker. And then what is the catch of a lifetime? Ballyhoo Bucket used to be damage 4 and had 2 triggers. It is now damage 3 and has the trigger spend 2 to heal 6. Wow, yeah, that's what draining 2 Soulstones should get you. 6. Sure, yeah, I'm in. I have no other comments. I think that's totally fine. Did they fix Aura Staggered? They did not. So clearly they intend for that to be game long. Okay. I do not like that. So currently there are a couple ways to give out Aura Staggered. This is the only token I'm aware of that never falls off. So you need token removal or it just stays. So Aura Staggered is just permanently on. Listen, I think if you do it on even one other thing, I'm actually okay with it. The problem is that it's unique. I don't like a rule that is totally unique and has no parallels. The fact that nothing removes this token, and in fact, the fact that it doesn't work like other auras is a little bit like, but we shall see. And then our Uncle Bog changes, and Bruce and Judd and Honey change. So Uncle Bog, his trigger, get changed. Enemy models are dealt 1 damage. Now reads, it's not once per turn. It is becoming once per turn, we are told. And discard a card or be dealt 1 damage. Oh, no. Notably, no longer ally only. Not once per turn, no longer ally only. That's just wrong. Okay. So the change to this card, good. The fact that it can affect non-allies, good, I think. He's already damaged 3, although he is attack range 4. Time to see how good he'll be. Yeah, no, this is interesting. Yeah, we'll see. Family Pet TN8. Signal Flare heals 2. So these are the totems. And previously, Family Pet healed 1 on a TM4. And Signal Flare healed 1 and moved them 2 towards it. And now we are told Signal Flare heals 2, but otherwise is the same. And then Bruce is an 8, and then heal 3 or make a Tide marker. I think that's good. Heal 3 for an 8. You know, we're now seeing some healing coming back in again. I think healing coming back in is fine. I was sort of pro it going away, but fine. Engorge is now glutted. Glutted. Good, fun word to say. Good glottal stop. I'm going to destroy my throat if I say it too many times. This change happened because people liked to make jokes about Engorged. Pretty simple. Piglets replaced into wild boars. So currently in Angler, I'm going to go back to doing the crew cards and stuff first, but one of the things about Sooey currently that people don't like is that piglets become squealers and wild boars become war pigs, and there's no way for piglets to do that. So what they've done instead is now piglets go wild boars into war pigs, supposedly. We'll see. All right, Pigs of Fire and Sturdy Critters have new changes. So let's look at those. Previously, Pigs of Fire and Sturdy Critters, Mad Dash, TN5, spend a stone, move speed +2. If you move through them, get them, you can summon. And Sturdy Critter's action became signature Sooey. Summon a piglet with an engorged token within 2. That's now a signature. Yep, making a signature is good. Gets a glutted token. Glutted token. Mad Dash is a signature. Tiana's come way down. And it's a signature. Yep. Good. Glutted. Yep. Yeah. They should be fast. That makes sense. And then we've got Hogfather and Porkbelly Protector. Porkbelly Protector goes from their current defense of 5 to defense 6. Probably good. Probably necessary. Hogfather, Lost in Slop, and Proper Cares have been changed. Lost in the Slop, previous said Drain. Give an adversary token to an enemy model within 3. And what was the other one? Proper Care heals 3 instead of 2. Yeah, that feels about right. Healing up. Lost in Slop now says attacker, not any model, but the attacker just dealt 2 damage against an adversary token. I think most of these effects that drain to like give a token or whatever need to do damage and give a token. I think that like version of Vengeance is fine. Then we've got a lot of changes. Old Major, Wild Boar, Hogwell Salesman, Squealer, War Pig, Slop Hauler. So Old Major is our only card here. He is melee damage goes to 3 instead of 4. Incite Stampede goes to 6, and Go Hog Wild heals 2. So Incite Stampede was previously range 8. Yeah, free charges probably should go down. And then Go Hog Wild. This model in the target gain an Engorge token. Does it now say they also heal, or is that a replacement? Yep, probably necessary. So what we are seeing is that stones are worth 2 damage or healing and a card in a lot of cases. So, and a token in a lot of cases. That token then can become healing later, or you can use it for other reasons. So I'm into it. I think there's some value there. I think having the value of stones come up a little bit on most of these is good. So when you see, man, we got a lot of changes here. I'm going to let someone take a look at these because these are all like stat changes. So someone who has a better idea than me know. I'm going to bet Heavenly Aroma is +1 healing. Yes, +1 healing for your stones. So stones are now worth 3 health instead of 2. Yep, feels good. Tricksy, I'm going to cheat. Mecha Mima, oversized jewelry bin. Fingers crossed. All right, so we do see changes to crew cards, Masters, Survivor, Pigapult, and the Little Lass, and Porkchop. So let's just go right into it. Specifically on looted parts and carefully laid plans, we've got rewritten, and power appeals too. So let's see what those were previously. I have not played against this crew, but I've seen a turn in which Mecha Mima did something I consider to be bonkers. So previously, Metal Magpie, let them yoink people by spending a stone when they target someone with an analyzed token, and gave out analyzed tokens, dealing 2 damage, 6 for his defense on an 8 cast. Friendly Trixies could drain to gain a shielded. I remember this. Everyone's like, why you're never doing any of this? And added full power to get +2 for shielded, so they just didn't have a way enough to get out enough of that. We've got our Tricksy cards here. Carefully laid plans. Oh yeah, magnets. Drain to pull them and gain an analyzed. Good. And it's Sabotage. Great name. Why is this one not dramatically written? Target enemy leader with an analyzed token. 6 defense 1. So it has to be an enemy leader with an analyzed token. Crew must have an unrevealed scheme. Target shows you its unrevealed scheme and discards it. And then secretly chooses a new scheme for its 2 remaining previous available choices. It may not select the scheme it showed you again. Okay, yeah, see, we should do stuff like this. This is good. This is good. This is a bad use for 2 stones probably, but this at least is exciting. This is tweakable. You have to get analyzed. This has a lot of hoops, but this is the kind of thing you want Bayou to do, right? Like, it's silly, but it's good. And frankly, if you're never doing this and you're just using, oh yeah, magnets, I think you're fine. I think pull 4 given analyzed is pretty good. This could be damage too, guys. Come on. You believe in yourself. Damage 3. Believe in yourself. Give them the ability to shoot twice on damage 3 and just make them deterministically go to a scheme. That's extremely funny. So looted parts previously was our shielded one. Gain a shield token and heal 2. Yep, this is the cost. This is what a stone is worth, right? Is a token and heal 2. It's 3 health, 3 damage. That's what it's worth. Remove up to 3 shielded tokens from allies within 3. Deal +1 damage for each. Yeah, so that's the same. It's just been increased in range and cap. So the thing is we need a way for people to get shielded more. Like, I don't think power up is enough. So let's see. Pigapult. Why is Pigapult in here? Pigapult's a Wizz-Bang model. Is it both? Yeah. Does this mean Pigapult has been added to the Tricksy crew? Nope. That's just in the wrong place. Okay. We'll talk about it now, so don't forget. Reign of Pork selects a non-unique model. So previously, Reign of Pork, you could fling somebody. Now they have to be non-unique. That's probably good. Yeah, that's fine. Let's look at our masters for Tricksy. Metal Magpie and Mechamima. Mechamima is terrifying. She has old armor in the form of made of metal. She cannot gain staggered or slow. She has a damage 4 ability that ignores physical defenses with a terrifying trigger on it. She's just terrifying. And then Moth Target Whamajigs people, as she was always supposed to, just spooning people around. She notably does not have a way to just pulse out shielded or gain shielded herself, so she's not swinging for insane damage now. Let's see how she's changed. We're starting with her because she's the one that scares me. Oversized Drill, 6/3, has a raise value of 3. This is good. This is, I think, what your threatening master can look like. I think that's totally fine. Drop down a hull, frantic attack, analyze weakness. All the triggers appear to be the same. Is that it for her? I think that's generally a good change. Yeah, that's the only change. I think that's generally good. She's still terrifying to me. I think she's still really good. And then Metal Magpie, System Overload, and Long-Term Plotting have been rewritten. Long-Term Plotting is keep people from losing analyzed, and System Overload is deal a damage to an ally and make them take an action. Now, Long-Term Plotting is Drain to heal 4. That's above rate for a Soul Stone, but it's on your master, so that makes sense. And Retrofit is... System Overload is now a stone trigger that removes a shielded to... Okay, so this is the old bombs in your belly style thing. The reason they are not letting you do this more often is because they do not like the unresisted pulses. So interesting to see if that changes elsewhere. I'm guessing that is why. These changes seem fine. Tricksy was not terrifying people, but I would argue it should be. And we've got a bunch of TN changes. I'm not going to go in depth on TN changes, I've decided. The one I'm going to look at is Mechanized Pork Chop. Previously, what was Belly Full of Coals, TN10 speed tool. No one was failing a TN10 speed tool. Going to 11 is totally fine. Could go up even higher. Wizz-Bang, 3 Demon Bag rewritten. Iron Fang moves models on raises. No changes to the Enchanter. Wise Words of Wisdom added non-general to Zoom and Boom. So this prevents them from charge interact, which is previously what people were using Wise Words of Wisdom for. That was my bugbear. I'm glad that has changed. Hopscotch is down to melee damage 3 and Toxin Invigoration rewritten. Okay, cool. We're going to have to look at these. No changes to the Wong Crew cards other than non-general on Zoom and Boom. That makes sense. These were already good and useful and fine crew cards. Let's take a look at their master. That has changed here. Wong the Wonderful. So previously 3 Demon Bag. After another medal, pass a TN generated by this model may give it a glowy token. The problem here is this model never generated TNs, technically. So I just never did anything. And then Iron Fan of Sooey. 5 versus defense 3. Gain a glory token with a reposition 3. They did nothing there. By the way, I know it's tough. I miss Squeal. I miss defensive triggers. I know we've got replacements for them, but that is something that I kind of miss. I miss a Squeal every once in a while. I find it far preferable to be squealing than to be butterfly jumping. One the Wonderful also gains defense 6, so he's onto a 6/6. That's totally fine. I got no problem with that. Let's take a look at this rewrite of 3 Demon Bag. Sadly, it's not dramatically rewritten, but you can't have everything in this life. When a non-PN enemy is killed within 3, infuse a stone. This fits with what the 3 Demon Bag is, I think. Kind of funny that you are now incentivized to just send your 6/6 14 health Aegis Master slamming into your opponent. By that, I don't think you really are. By the way, I think that I'm being hyperbolic in order to have a little fun here. You are clearly meant to just finale people for 5 damage, and then I guess place them next to you and use the Iron Fan to finish them off, or finale again to finish them off, whatever. It'll be interesting to see if Wong the Wonderful comes back up. The fact that previously on Wise Words of Wisdom, Zoom and Boom, you could just charge in. Oh, they lied, by the way. You could just interact on your charge, made them impossible to out. They just had such activation power. Any movement this model makes as a result of the generated action is ignored. This is another change that they have not called out. Previously on Wise Words of Wisdom, it said title actions that move the model as part of their effect may not be taken this way. This is good. Because what it does is it allows you, it changes the way this works, right? Instead of saying you can't do these, you just ignore the movement on this model. So you can still clear the stage. It's just never going to affect you. You can do hopscotches, lurching hop, but it doesn't get the place. It just pulses out the speed duel. So I think that's generally a nice change. I think that's good. I think Wise Words of Wisdom needed this sort of thing. And then we've got Flying Piglets are now insignificant, and Bacon Beacon no longer kills them. That's a good trade. I think they kind of only needed insignificant because of non-general on Zoom and Boom, but I'm happy to see insignificant on these. Like, you get 3 tiny totems. So Olivia gets a new thing. Falling does not end toss movement. A bunch of people requested this. That's a nice, smooth change. I want to see how that's written. Flying Piglets are insignificant. And now you can node your non-general tactical actions within 8, but it doesn't kill you. That's all good. Olivia gained... Wow, she has a lot of actions. She has, I think 5 is maybe the most. Added Light Show. 6 for 2. Raise value 3. Select token list on this crew card and have a model within 3 of the target gain it. Good. Very cool. Sick. They have a lot of Entranced, Insight, Poison, Glowies. So for each raise, you just get to give out a token. More templating like this. Now, I do think we need just per raise, do this. Templating that's a little bit smaller and smoother, but I'm willing to accept writing the whole thing out, especially if we get effects like this, which is generally pretty cool. I want to see how they've redone Falling and Toxic Invigoration. So previously Toxic Invigoration gave you pseudo fast. Does it just give you regular fast now? That could be one change, but let's see how Alphonse and Hopscotch have changed. I'm not finding Alphonse. Look at him a second. Remove to heal 5. Much better. Yep. And he's down to damage 3, as mentioned. So huge, huge improvement in my mind there. We're seeing these damage 4 cards come down across the board, which is, I think, something people wanted. Here's Alphonse. How do they template it? Toss. Move the target up to 10 if this move is interrupted. Falling does not end this movement. Nice and simple. Cool. A bunch of people were like, yeah, they should be able to go down but not up on some movements. This is a way to do that. Falling does not end this movement. You still take the damage. And in fact, because you're moving 10, depending on how your board is arranged, you can take falling damage multiple times. That could be very funny the first time somebody does something like that. Great. Emissaries, roadkill damage came down. This was one of the more dangerous emissaries. Let's talk about why. Many of the emissaries had pretty good attacks, but remove a marker is just great, and these are good triggers, right? Bold over, very good. Delay, very good. Quite good, at least. And removing a marker, it's harder to get that plus flip, but that is the best thing to remove on your opponent's side of the table because it lets you remove scoring potential in a way that removing a token or charging, these things do not get, like the other ways you get plus flips, don't like affect scoring as directly. So coming down in damage is probably good there. We've also gained a new front of card ability on the emissary called Shared Luck. We've got the same change where Hard to Kill is gone. Friendly models in 2 may cheat fate with the top card of their fate deck. So that's a classic Bayou ability. It is good, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's that good, and I think it's worse than Hard to Kill. I think that could be, we'll see. Ultimately we'll see. You're going to get a bunch of use out of this in your first activations of the game, and then after that, it's going to get a use out of it, and maybe one of their models. So I don't know. Maybe this aura could be a little bit bigger. Maybe not. Definitely worth thinking about that going forward. Surprised to see none of the jockeys changed. Probably just not enough density of play. Bayou was the second least played faction. Yeah. Explorers. I've played 2 of these crews. I've watched Wastrel be played, and I've heard people talk about Cadmus. So we'll see. I'm not going to talk about TNs, but Lost in the Hunt on Canehurst, TN goes to 7. That's probably up from 6. Thin the Herd does not require injured and spread influence deleted. What did those do previously? I'm doing this out of order again. Yeah, the longer I do this, the more I'm going to be worse. So Thin the Herd, an ally may declare an attack against the target. Probably good that we don't need that. And spread influence. The target gains a type of token on any model within 2 of itself. Bummer. Now it doesn't have a way natively to help with parasites. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how that works out. Let's go ahead and go to Explorers. Take a look at Cadmus. All right. Let's start with our crew cards. Parasitoidism and Hive Mind gained things. No negative changes, only positive changes. So previously, Hive Mind gave We Are Legion if the active model receives a raise and opposed move, the enemy gains a parasite token, and Exoskeletal Link on fairly unique Cadmus models to yoinky spelunky people around. Parasitoidism had Drain Soulstone to reduce a final duel total if they have a parasite token, and Soul Shock. Past 10 and 11 will party will gain a parasite token, be dealt 1 damage. Summon eyes or ears and base contact with models killed by this action. So our change here is a new host. After his model is dealt damage by an enemy attack, may drain a stone to have the attacker gain a parasite token. People were clamoring for something like this, like a guaranteed way to give out parasite tokens, and this is pretty much it. Exoskeletal Link appears to have stayed the same. Scale 5 inches. That's a typo. I should report that. Probably not. I'm probably going to forget. So if one of you wants to report it, go for it. Is it otherwise the same? Yeah. Also, why? What is this? We fucked up this templating. That's all. I mean, these things aren't going to happen. And then Parasitoidism. Soul Shock is now a signature, and Unfair Play lets you get a guaranteed parasite token out. Again, people were clamoring for this. They were like, I can't get parasite tokens out. No, you can. You have guaranteed ways to do it. In a keyword that can just print Soulstone still. One of Many and Heart of the Hive have changed. So Heart of the Hive gained a new ability. Let's see. Heart of the Hive previously had Connected Consciousness and Siphoned Power. It still has Connected Consciousness and Siphoned Power. So did they mean action? They did not. So I'm not sure what that refers to. Heart of the Hive does not appear to have changed. Ally or model of the Parasite token, ignoring line of sight. That's the same. And then Siphon Power, I think, is the same. It's got the same health. Yeah, I don't know. Triggers look the same. Yeah. Weird. One of many. Previously, Drain Life healed 1. Now it heals 2. Yep, healing is coming up across the board. And then the changes to Ahul and Caners as previously discussed. Sure. DUA. Glue markers are not treated as blocking. All actions that reference blocking now say or a friendly glue marker. Actual functionalities remain the same. This is to prevent people being like, they give me cover. So there was a lot of back and forth about whether that was true. Good to see that it has. Hired muscle crew card changed, and notably, it doesn't look like the other crew card changed. So we'll pull up the old versions of those just so you guys get an idea. So Double Agent came with Finesse Job, and Obscura came with Hired Muscle. Finesse Job lets you remove an entrance to gain a plus flip in a suit, and then you can, when a unique model is killed, it can drain 2 to not be killed. Hired Muscle could remove a glue marker to add a suit, and could spend a stone to blow up a glue marker to make people suffer 2 unresisted damage. Our changes here for Hired Muscle, Root Explosive became Signature and added a whole new action. So let's figure out what that whole new action is, shall we? That whole new action is read out explosive signature. Muscle in, spend 2. Target a strategy marker, place the target within 3 of its current location, not base contact with any models. Good. Yes. Good. Yes. This shit is fucked up. Do it. This is an extremely fucked up ability that crews should occasionally have access to extremely fucked up abilities, right? Like 2 soul stones is a substantial cost. It is less substantial and obscure than it would be if that was printed on the Hired Muscle card, or on Hired Muscle than it would be on the Finesse Job card, but still. Good. Changeling, we've seen the Obscura change. Dark Deception reduces by 3. That's the Obscura. And then Double Agent, Thorough and Meticulous chooses a glue marker. So previously, Thorough and Meticulous chose a scheme to make a scheme. Dark Deception removed a glue marker to reduce by 2. Now, on Obscura, remove to reduce by 3. Good. Yeah, I'm into it. And then now we are turning glue markers into schemes instead of enemy schemes into our schemes. Probably good. Probably a little bit too good as it was written. So I'm totally fine with that. That may have always been intended and they just templated it wrong. Nocturnes are down from speed 7 to speed 6. I'm not bringing them. Unnatural speed up from TN5 to TN6. I'm not bringing them. Faraday, Brock Inspector, on your heels deleted. Speed 6, Faraday Call rewritten. And then a bunch of TNs and speed. Jin did not need to get worse, is the thing I believe is true. Path of Shadows, TN8. But Path of Shadows is their in keyword specific secret passage. Yep. TN8 instead of 7. So they're increasing some keywords. Or some TNs. Makes sense. Let's see how Spectre changed. 6-5. 6-3. Don't turn your back. After resolving an attack that targets the money, drain a stone to place the attack model into base contact with glue marker within 6 feet. Good. Yes. Yeah, that's the kind of thing you need to spend a stone for, right? You need to spend a stone to do fucking cool stuff. And this says, don't attack, and I put you where I want you to be. Yeah. And it makes sense to therefore remove on your heels, because that is a extremely potent change. I would now consider bringing Brock Inspectors in a way that I wouldn't. And honestly, Speed 6 also has a big impact on that. Davison Nocturnes, I'm just not taking. Jin, he's fallen so far, man. 5552. Give out Entranced. Has flexible morality. Has like some interesting stuff. Remove a scheme or glue marker to move 6 and maybe move 3. I mean, previously he was speed 6 and TN4 and people weren't taking him. I get that this is sort of responding to a general issue, but I don't quite get why Jin had to be worse. Totally fine. Added spicy new ability. these new actions are now signature. I was already union busting, frankly, but added new ability whose spice is diminished by repetition. Oh man, we're having fun. We're having fun together, right, guys? We're putting neat little notes in. Okay. I really should have done this with somebody else so I could take a little break from talking, but we're in it. We're going. So previously, let's clear everything away. Flush with Cash, speed of information is 8 inches, lets you place into base contact with a scheme marker. And Union Buster is a 3-inch pulse from your model that moves all enemy models within range up to 2. Now, Union Buster moves them 2. If this gun would be dealt falling damage, they would dealt 1 additional falling damage. Fun. And has Scab Pay. Non-master once per turn. After this model kills a non-PN enemy, may drain 2. If it does, it gains a slow token when it ends its activation and may choose to activate 1 additional time this turn. Hell yes. Hell yes. Why is this formatted differently? However, come on. You're using when you drain 2 on other cards, you don't put drain 2 stones. You put drain stone. Come on, get with the picture. Flush with Cash. Scab Pay. It's the same. That's why its spiciness is diminished with repetition. Okay, I get it, Justin. Okay. This is a change I requested. Speed of information to signature. I don't think Union Buster needed it, but I thought speed of information definitely did. You are now going to use speed of information, which is good. I think it fits nicely in the Flush with Cash situation. I also think Flush with Cash, Scab Pay, like fits with the theme of Flush with Cash, that people were sort of clamoring for stuff like that. That's cool. Reactivate is a cool idea. Especially because if you just remove that slow, they can just activate 1 additional time without being slow. Kind of cool. What other changes? Casey Jones. Constant motion replaced with field repairs. Goodbye. Constant motion. Damage down to 3. Needed. Deleted, pulled here and there from Corvus Rick's trigger. Needed. Not needed, but fine. It makes Corvus worse, which I'm sad about. Corvus being good was fun. Sudden Strike replaced with Full Steam. We need to know what field repairs and Full Steam are. I think field repairs is a known trigger that just says heal when you declare a trigger. Remove a marker within 2 to heal 4. Oh! So they've given him more survivability. That's cool. And then Full Steam. So now you want to Whippoorwill, and then you get a skill 7 attack with 3 ignoring magic abilities with a slow on it, maybe. Okay, that's fine. I'm into it. These are fine. I'll miss constant motion, but I think that's all fine. Let me jump back and make sure I'm not. Rail Magnate and Resolute both gained new abilities. All right. Rail Magnate gained 1, and Resolute gained 2, and Resolute gained 1. So let's see what those are. Here is the Resolute. She previously had Blade Rush and Hardy. She has gained Innovative Business Practices. After this model is dealt damage by an attack, it may drain a stone to have the attacker gain a slow token. I want to point out, not for every model, not for Masters, but for many models, this almost reads like that drain 2 and end their activation ability Damien had. Because for a lot of them, it's going to knock them down off of their activation limit. Now, it does mean that they can still signature. And they can, if it's their second of 2 actions and they do it, it doesn't affect them. Still, I think Innovative Business Practice is pretty good. You were kind of stone hungry already in Resolute, in my experience, because you wanted to use Steel Momentum and Union Buster. So it'll be interesting to see if Innovative Business Practices makes it, sort of. Rail Magnate had previously Serene and Unseen Manipulator, and she has gained Payoffs. Drain a stone to give the attacker -1 skill. Fine, probably not doing that. After an enemy attack fails targeting this model infuses a stone. Okay, I'm gonna Payoffs sometimes. Also, Payoffs just fits with Payoffs and Subsidies, kind of fits with the idea. It would be kind of interesting to give her a way to like force people to target her as a result of this. Doesn't really fit with the theme, but kind of interesting. Expanding Influence TN has gone up to 7. Operatives are slower. This needed to happen. I don't know that they needed to go to 5, but I will survive. Operatives previously were speed 6 and could go 8 with ambush. No, so they had to go to 5. Yeah, I was just remembering the +2 speed. So now they are, instead of going 6, 6, 8, they're going 5, 5, 7. They're still probably good enough for a 5-stone model. They're extremely fragile. So let's see where the money has changed. Where the money is previously lets you ping pong around when people empowered, which was super fun. I'm going to be super sad if that is gone entirely, but I understand that you got to make these changes when it's doing a little more than you feel is appropriate. Move 2 towards it. 2? Can we go to 3? Could I convince you to go to 3? It's kept some of the idea, but a lot less of the potency. Now you will empower enough that you will often still be able to creep where you need to be. It's just a creep instead of a leap. Wastrel. New action, quick forgery changed. Signature, new action. Okay, so both crew cards. This is a thing that a bunch of people requested. Make the crew cards signature and make them more impactful. And what they have done, I think, is they have not only made them signature, they have given them new options. They've given them a second crew card action. So like Antique Dealer used to have quick forgery. No longer it has a TN. And now we have Find of a Lifetime. Ooh. Spend 3 to make up to 3 ski markers within 1 inch of a piece of terrain that's at least partially in the enemy deployment zone. Very cool. Very heavy ability to burst out schemes for scoring. I really like it. It's our first time seeing a Drain 3. Frankly, I think this could be a Drain 2. But since it doesn't have a TN, I think Drain 3 is totally fair. And otherwise, Quick Forgery is the same. Careful It's Cursed has no TN. Gains a slow token and small gains a focus token. Did it previously do that? But it's just a better version. Yeah, it's just signature. That's fine. And we also have the Find of a Lifetime. So this new action is the same across both. Desper goes to speed 6. Was he speed 7 previously? Let's look at the Masters in just a moment. Desper was speed 6. So it says he's speed 6. So that's probably, there's something going on here. Relic Hunter and Dismounted Hunter have changed. Unexpected Dismount heals, Saddle Up heals, and Cumbersome means you can't scale, and Expert Climber means you can scale, I'm going to guess. So Dismount and what's the dismounted version? Dismount and Saddle Up. Saddle Up already healed, guys. What are we doing? Did our... it looks like our upgrades did not change. People wanted them to change. No change yet. So what did we say? Unexpected dismount heals, and we are cumbersome. May not scale, and we have unexpected dismounts, which now heals. Previously, we just got the pop off with no healing. Yep. And then dismount, come off and heal. Previously had that, and it previously healed 3 to get back on. But we've gained Expert Climber to Dismounted Hunter. Hold on a second. All right, I think I got to start doing this the hard way. Because I think what has happened is that I've spent long enough doing this that the very, very, very fine folks behind the Theoryfo website may have already updated the cards in the time I was doing this. I've pulled up Wastrel and I'm verifying. No. Dismounted. Where is Dismounted Hunter? Dismounted Hunter did not have. Yeah. Saddle Up used to heal 2. Okay. So I'm going to have to stop using Theoryfo and start dragging out the old items. I think I'm going to just kind of speed run through the rest of these. Hard to Kill replaced with Stalwart Protector, and Piercing Tree replaced with Nectini built in, and Damage 2. This is also another model where it was easier to get the plus flip. I figured I would get away with using Theoryfo for that, but now it may be the case that I can just use Theoryfo for the new cards. All right, neck to knee, heal 3, and Stalwart Protector, reduce damage dealt to friendly models within 2 by 1, not once per turn. Okay, that's really good reduction. That's really good reduction. It applies to everything. It can't be ignored by anything. I think this is now the best 8-stone model in the keyword, I think, or in the faction. Damage coming down across the board generally is totally fine. Guild. Red tape made signature, trading places made signature. So crew actions went to signature. I don't think that's enough on red tape. I think it needs a little more. Don't know about trading places. Assume form trigger added to lure. Which lets you remove an adaptable, non-leader only, select an action on the target that does not attach upgrades. This model takes a selected. Okay, yep. So this gives you the old taking a doppelganger thing of taking an action from your opponent. Speed 6, blend in TN7. Speed 6, blend unnatural speed TN6. So our movement is getting reduced and the TNs are going up. Unruly now discards a card, not a stone, and it goes to speed 6. Good. In plain sight, legal rhetoric heals 3. Legal rhetoric is a... What? What do you mean by that? Sorry. In plain sight. Legal rhetoric. After this model discards a friendly upgraded, heals 3. Did that change on all of them? No. Lucius Matheson now has an ability that is the same name, but a different healing amount than other models in his crew. This is easily changed by changing the name to from legal rhetoric into something else. Like, you know, we've already used red tape. I don't know. Voir dire. It doesn't really matter what you call it. That's not a good name, but you just, you know, call it something different. Journalist. We've got Fiona Gage, modified pickaxe damage 3. You can't escape the truth is replaced with Warning Growl. So what does it, we know what Warning Growl does. Warning Growl says you've got allied models to deal additional damage. Fiona Gage now has 3. They're saying, like, what does it take for you people to say, like, this model is, like, defensible enough? You cannot kill Mrs. Gage. You can only move her. Previously, she had an ability that pinged people for 1 damage and a 4 damage attack. That 4 damage attack is gone down to 3. People's Protector heals 3 instead of 2. That's what a stone gets you now. Lure TN is 12, but that's gone up. Public Backlash range is 3 instead of 2. Public Backlash is her ability to do the damage to somebody nearby. Undercover Porter gained Don't Mind Me. Makes sense. And went to speed 5. Makes sense. Speed is coming down. Don't Mind Me is going out. Don't Mind Me has gotten better. Tatler and Voice of Disorder gained abilities. I played Voice of Disorder, so gather around. When this model activates, it may drain a stone to heal itself and all allies within 4/2. Good. Yep. Seems fine. You're a bubble crew. And then never miss a deadline. When this model activates, it may drain a stone to heal 4. You are not a bubble crew. You're spreading out. You're making yourself less likely to die. I don't think never miss a deadline is the best use of a stone, but heal 4 is not that bad. Marshals. Sanctified crossbow may choose a suit on elevation. Who is that on? The Exorcist. Previously, they just had +1 skill. Now, if you can put them up in a sniper nest, they get crit strike or exorcism for free. The real thing here is they have expert climber and run and gun. So they get to go 7 inches. 7 inches, by the way, still. There are 5 costs with no signature, though, so maybe that's fine. Although, maybe they get a signature. Who knows? Death Touch add an ability. This is fine. People were dooming on Death Touch. They were like, oh, it doesn't do enough. She doesn't do enough. So she's gained Intrepid. When this model starts and ends its activation, may drain a stone to heal 3. We're seeing a lot of this in Guild. Kind of interesting to see that as almost a theme. And Death Marshal, Pine Box gives Craven token on a raise. Good. More things do things on raises. Witch Hunter. We've got a lot of stuff here. D-Rod goes down to damage 3. Sam goes down to speed 6. He's now slower than a regular Exorcist, but probably right. Unmasked and Unrelenting have Ignite and Blast back rewritten, and Witchbane has a raise value of 3. That's good. Witchbane needed a change in order to feel like you could actually get the cool effects that it sort of promises you by saying, hey, you just get a bunch of raises. So now you are not only stat 7, you are getting a raise on a 3. Your damage, this now makes that melee attack very threatening. We have also rewritten Ignite, and then on a mass rewritten Blastback. Ignite is now Drain a Stone. It's now not just they gain burning, it's Drain a Stone and they gain burning and move away. Ignite existed in a couple other, in at least one other place. Does it say the same thing everywhere? No, same problem. Blastback makes an Inferno. Okay, so it's these are sort of parallel, but one is an Inferno and one is a just a burning, quote unquote. Otherwise, we've got. We need to check out Sam. All Flaming Blade upgrades consolidated into one Plentiful 3 upgrade and rewritten. And Empowering Tome crew card, Flash Fire rewritten and trigger added, and Engulfing Flames had a new action added. Empowering Tomes. Let me see if I have Guild here in my. Yep. So previously, Empowering Tomes, you were looking at a Flashfire appears to be the same, and Charred Soul appears to be the same. Are these being done intermittently and I can't rely on? Hold on. Yep. Okay. Not everything has changed in Theory Foe yet. So Flashfire is now a flip. You need to get a 4. And now you can spend a stone to do damage to people with burning. Makes sense. And then on the other one, we previously had Fire's Glow, which has not changed, and burn it all. All models on top of the terrain suffer 1 piece of damage and gain burning token, and they must move directly towards the closest edge of the terrain until they fall. So pretty cool. Pretty cool. I like it. I like that a lot. You know, big, showy, flashy, weird thing. Sam has changed a bunch. Dive Over the Side was rewritten, Gunfire was deleted, and he gained a melee attack. Or close to a melee attack. Dive Over the Side previously let him, like, when he got hit, move off the edge of a building to wherever he wanted to be. Now it is within 5, so there's a little more positioning requirement. And now instead of just Collier revolvering you at all times, he's going to give you a slow and a burning on the same stat with potential to knock aside. Yeah, that's fine. I got no problem with that. Witchling Handlers are they harder or easier to summon? I should not pay too much attention to this, but they are, in point of fact, possible to summon. Okay, cool. I like that. More summon options, more good. All Flaming Blade upgrades consolidated. Previously, there were like 3 of these, and you choose which one. Plus 2 damage for each raise, instead of +1. Gain a burning discard after killing someone. So this is worse than some of the other options. It's just hard to get a raise, man. In this economy, damn. Yeah, let's check the Witchling Thrall and see if his big ol' fists are particularly +2 for each raise instead of +1 with Smolder, Cleansing Flame, and Drain Magic. This is the same. They've just given him the +2 damage on raise. Fine. Cool. Yeah. Make Thralls threatening again. Sam is down to 6 buddies. Consolidate. Guild Versatile. Hard to Kill becomes Crowd Control. Attack target speed. Skill 7, so you're now on +1 and damage 2. Hard to Kill replaced with Branches and Brambles. Which one is it, guys? Is it Crowd Control or Branches and Brambles? And we're also defense 5. This is probably from a different emissary, if I had to guess. So, versatile guild. Crowd control. Friendly models in 6 may not declare enemy controlled actions unless it's their activation. So basically, 6-inch bubble of no obey. And then they lied to me about his attack changing. This is a different emissary. Cool. Cool. His defense also did not go down. Cool. Neverborn. Weirdwood Tree goes from speed 0 to 3 and can't climb. Withered Rose went up to speed willpower 7 down to defense 5. I expect most of the changes here to be in Nightmare. The other thing to note is Neverborn get a whole new keyword today, which is not something most other people are getting. No changes to the crew cards, interestingly. I think people were generally kind of okay with those, but Withered Rose is now a 5/7. Autumn Queen, Queen's Domain is rewritten. Was she previously a 5/7? I suppose I have cards for this. I should really just move on with my life at this point, but I'm pot committed. So Withered Rose was a 4/8 previously. Yeah, that makes sense. Taking her down from there. And then Titania Autumn Queen is a 6/6 now as opposed to a 6/7. Yeah. Those willpower values coming down makes sense to me. Aislinn got a Visions trigger. Boldover was replaced by Rapid Growth. Those are the only other two ones that I really want to check out. What this Visions trigger is probably this model declares intuition. Cool. I'm not opposed. And then on the boar, it now has Rapid Growth to make an underbrush marker instead of Boldover. Boldover previously was a so this supports getting undergrowth markers onto the field or back onto the field if you need to. Previously, Boldover is just push 4, move 4. You probably would rather have lost Marked, but I'm just guessing. I have not played or seen Faye played. Brood, Engorged changed to Glutted. Nephilim Queen, speed 7. Bloodhunter, speed 7. That speed 6. Those probably down. Once per activation on some movement abilities, pulled here and there, trigger deleted. That's another pulled here and there, gone. Chase them down once per activation, TN 7. That's probably movement. Young Nephilim, speed 6. Fly with me, TN 8. Does Fly with me still have the same TN or same text about only getting to actually with me get an ally moved if they have a raise? So TN 6 on the mature Nephilim needs a raise to get it. So yeah, I'm going to say that is the case. So you now need a 13 to fly with me with the young Nephilim. That's probably good. Nightmare. Dread Dream lost Soulstone icon, gained F icon. I'm going to guess that's signature, and a new trigger was added, or well, we'll see. Crew card changed. Slower and harder. More healing, lower range, slower, higher TN, new ability, damage down to 3. Speed, is Teddy still damage 4? If so, he is currently like the only damage 4, even though he has lost. He no longer has crit strike. Let's see. He may not have been damage 4 previously. Let's start with the crew cards. Dread Dream is now signature, no stone, and has a trigger. Signature, no stones. Can't wake up. When minion or PN model that failed this duel gains a flicker token. Wow! That's cool as shit. I don't think it's good. I don't think it's worth doing, but it's cool as shit. And Onerophobia, Nightmare Surge. Gained signature. There is no Nightmare Surge. We must mean Waking Scream. Yeah, fine. And then we have Fast Asleep, gained a new ability, Insomniac, gained a new ability, and Peer into Dreams changed. The new ability would be Just a Dream. May not be attacked for the remainder of the activation. Worst version of no. And Peer into Dreams now is a stone. Yeah, a bunch of people are just like, yeah, I will do this immediately. It costs me nothing. Probably worth it. Chompy Lurking Lullaby. So Dream Lords, damage 3. Insomniac, gain Just a Dream. Same thing. And Lurking Lullaby now says damage 2 with Dream Eater instead of damage 3. Oh, no. Fear Made Flesh, damage 3 instead of... That might have gone up, actually. Let's see. Chompy Lurking Lullaby. It was previously damage 2. And it was called Boogeyman. And now it declares instead of taking an attack action. I wonder why that matters. Can't think of anything right now. I need to see Teddy. How did Tedward change? 5553. He was previously 5573, so he's down 2 speed. He's got the new version of Terrifying. Previously, he was damage 4 on Heavy Claws. He is still damage 4, but no longer has Crit Strike. He has Bold Over and Execute still and Mortal Strike. Teddy's Gonna Get Ya is now called Here Comes Teddy. It should be just Here's Teddy, if you wanted to make the reference, I suppose. But it's pretty good. And then new stuffing, instead of placing with the ability to gain a fast, just heals 3. Teddy unplayable again, I'm afraid to say. He is now the only damage 4, and his damage can be irreducible, but I think not good enough. Okay. Versatiles. Hildegard. Idle Chatter replaced with Unassuming Demeanor. What did Idle Chatter even do? I did not see anyone... Unassuming Demeanor is a classic, but I did not see anyone talking about... I don't appear to have Neverborn Versatiles. Are we still on that edition in Theory Foe? I am not on 4E here. Go to 4E, go to Neverborn. Nope, go to 4E. Go to Neverborn, Versatile, Hildegard. Unassuming Demeanor. Okay, so it's her attack action, I guess. If the duel is tied, +1 damage instead of -1 damage, his attack has a raise value of 3. So that's very interesting. I kind of like it. And then I'm assuming that your Emissary is the one that got Branches and Brambles. Friendly models within 2 inches always receive cover. Yeah. Pretty good. Branches and Brambles pretty good. 556. Targeting speed. Receives a plus target is more than 4 from this model. Yeah, seems fine. Always receive cover. Interesting text. Because it doesn't like... Yeah. Bandit. Broken Man's Lasso is a Z action. We're about to learn what they mean by Z action in their internal language, but let's jump to Outcasts. We got 3 more to go here. In terms of, I'm not going to talk about the new crews, Ampersand and Banished. I might do, if people like this, a second one. But we've got Shadow of the Noose and Changes. So just Broken Man's Lasso is changing here. Gang membership is not changing. Stick Up is not changing. Shadow of the Noose. Broken Man's Lasso is now a Z action. What do we mean by that? Do we mean projectile? Do we mean 0 damage? Do we mean... Yeah. It is now a projectile action instead of a cast action. Notably, that means you can run and gun it. So generally an improvement, even though you can now be engaged and prevented from doing it. Parker Barrow's Most Wanted shootout ability was rewritten, and that is it. Ashen Echo lost Tap the Leyline, and then Resupply was lost, Nimble was lost, its Speed 6, and Emergency Surgery was changed. So let's check Most Wanted. Shootout. After it uses the Quick Getaway ability, it deals 2 to the attacker. Quick Getaway is the crew card. Drain a stone when target and damage to declare walk, so it gets to go pew when it walks away from you. And then removed crit strike. Good. Damage is going down. Doc Mitchell was previously nimble and had emergency surgery. Emergency surgery now costs a stone and has gained the signature. TN's gone down to 3. Remove a token. So this is healing infusion plus remove a token and 2 meaningful triggers. Yeah, seems fun. Yeah. LMA, Raiwumi TN up to 8. Metal Claws damage down from 4 to 3. Speed down to 6. Sue, hurt deals 2 damage. What was hurt previously doing? Hurt previously did 1 damage. So hurt at the start of Smells Activation maybe dealt 2 damage to move up to 3 inches, make a ski marker and base contact. Good. Movement is now more expensive. It's going down. Banditos were previously crazy fast. They're down to speed 6. I wonder if Pearl can only relapse once per turn. I wonder if previously there was an addition. There was like they adjusted stuff up because people complained, and now people are like, "Oh, this was a mistake." Yeah, relapse once per activation previously. After a marker within 6 is removed, draw a card. Good, less card draw. Just 1. Infamous. Infamous for not getting played in the first couple days of battle reporting. Might be the reason for so little changes. Mancha Roja, First Mate, and Captain Zip have changed. Captain Zip, Cloud Chaser. Cloud Chaser had Caught in the Rigging changed. Is that right? Caught in the Rigging rewritten. Choose a marker within 2 of the target. Make a friendly copy of the chosen marker in base contact. So this lets you take enemy markers and make a copy of them in addition to your own markers, your piano markers. Certainly, you like making copies of piano markers. Previously, this just moved markers. Yeah, I think this is better. I think that's good. Mancha Roja, Expert Climber is added, and Off the Top Rope is rewritten, and First Mate lost Sudden Strike. Damage is going down. We've got less models that get to move and attack a bunch. So it was kind of iconically the thing you did with First Mate in the last edition, but I'm not upset to see him lose it. Mancha Roja, Off the Top Rope, has to be an elevation of 2 or higher, place model in 5. It is dealt 1, then deals 1. It declares an attack action, which receives a plus flip. Notably, this is I can attack 3 times, but our attacks are kind of bad. 2 with crit strike or burning, that's fine. Place within 5 to deal damage to yourself and enemies, that's all fine by me. I'm not too fussed about that. Previously, Off the Top Rope was simply you had to be on blocking terrain, not above your opponent, and you didn't get the falling damage effect. So I think this is generally better, depending on tables. Mercenary. Double Up may be used by non-unique models TN6. It needed to. Ashes and Blood could not use their own card ability because it said unique. And the masters for Ashes and Blood are non-unique. They're just 2 ladies, There's 2 of them, so they can't be unique. This caused a huge problem, both thematically. You wanted to be that ability. Double Up reads like it should be used constantly by the Ashes and Blood Vix, but they simply couldn't. They have gained Parry. Parry says drain a stone to make that attack suffer -2 skill. It is the better version of the ability Rail Magnate has. Good. They need something. They also went up in health. Previously, by the way, they were at 9 health. So they've gone up to 10, and they now have this ability to make themselves harder to hit. That's probably good. They are still speed 7, one of the few things at speed 7, because Twin Blades has gone down from speed 7 to speed 6. I'm surprised we did not see Student of Conflict go down to speed 6 as well. Kenshiro has been changed. Reverse Momentum has been rewritten, and Seeking the Blade affects unique only. So does that mean he only affects unique masters? That's kind of funny if it's true, because it pretty much only applies to 2 masters, one of whom is Vix. Nope. It applies to any unique model. Good. Good. Make Kenshiro a little scarier. I'm into it. He's already skill 7, so make him do some damage for a stone. Plus, we now know that a stone is worth a little bit more than that in terms of damage, but, you know, that's fine. 2 is fine. Reverse Momentum no longer costs a stone. It now removes any number of tokens, and the target heals 2 rather than gaining the token that can cancel the remove token, if any. That was bad text, and it has the same triggers. All good. These are good changes. These are reasonable changes. Oblit. Aeonis lost the advanced trigger. 33 lost pop-in. Oh, man. How many times did they lose pop-in? They had it on in several places. If they lost pop-in everywhere, they are kind of no longer functional the way they were designed. Flight replaced with rush. Void rush. So we're losing some flight. Secret inspection got higher, so mobility is a little lower. Actually, all of these are nerfs to the crew's ability to just be wherever they want to be. No changes to the crew card of the masters. I think the crew card could have changed, but I don't know really. Advance was their stutter time trigger that let them move towards their target. Rush is +2 on charges instead of ignoring everything with flight. And yeah. Wow. 33 lost pop-in on everything. 33 has no way to activate their own 2 places at once. Probably good. But probably a little sad for players who liked the ping-ponging 33. Hodgepodge has been changed. They've got trinket upgrades again. Angel Eyes has changed. Blood Wretch. Good. Blood Wretches were just miserable previously. They just didn't really do anything. And we've got our Hodgepodge upgrades back. Pretty Floor Planet gives Don't Mind Me. Monkey's Paw gives +1 speed and Cursed Wish and Demise Wish granted. Oh my god, Monkey's Paw rules. Well-Worn Boots gives Expert Climber. Those are good trinkets. These are good trinkets. These are good replacements for the old trinkets. I like them. The Monkey's Paw is very funny to me. Hodgepodge, still hard to kill. He's the one who kept it. Junk Strike removes a marker if it does so. So this is the same one that Lucky has basically. And we have a new trigger on Plenty of Wares. Target heals 2. And it has to be Take This, Sonny. Welp, he's back. All of you complainers won. Your Hodgepodge is back, baby. Angel Eyes. Backup was rewritten and Advanced Sights was added. So we get a plus flip when we are on top of things. And then backup. And then backup doesn't appear to be on the card. Do I have the old Angel Eyes card? Backup was removed. Backup was not rewritten. Backup was removed. Okay. That's fine. Furious Swipes was rewritten. That is on the Blood Wretch. That now moves models away. That's pretty good, actually. A 2-inch pulse only needs a 3, moves them away. Previously, it had no TN and a trigger that you could therefore not declare because it had no TN and it just dealt 1 damage. Generally, I think this is better. Reposition enemies 3 inches. If this said all models, we would be in there like swimwear and you'd take the Blood Wretch all the time. So maybe it's best that it's not. We've got lots of changes in Rezzers, and I've got 15 minutes before my hard out, and a lot of changes in 10 Thunders. Well, speedrun it, I guess. Rezzers, starting with Ancestor. Changelog for Ancestor. Izuma gained Eternal. Beckoning Call gained Signature. Good. Signature's good. Chiaki deserves some help. No Vanish on Gokudo. Leap TN 8. Mobility going down. Yin now Empower activate Ancestor once per activation. Which one is Empower Ancestor? Where is my... Yin. Empower Ancestor. Target may move up to 3 inches and gain a Greedy token. Great. Yeah, I can see why you would do that a bunch. Ancestral Blessing gained Signature. Guardian Spirit added action. Spirit Ascendant added action. So those are the crew cards. Alizlin 2 of the target gain a shielded token. And Debt to your Ancestors. Select any scheme the next time the opponent chooses the next available scheme. They must choose from the section of the scheme you chose. Good. This one is not worth 3, but it is good. Do we have that on both versions? Yes, we do. Cool. That's very cool. I'm into it. I need to see what... is this Demise Eternal? And then... Ancestral Blessing. Gain Signature. Yeah, this needed to be a signature, but I will say this is good enough to spend a stone on. If it wasn't on Unique, you would do it. So, as is, it's probably an effigy only action. So, Izamu. Where are we, Izamu? Eternal. At the end of the turn, the model heals 4. Okay, cool. So, not Demise Eternal, but just heal 4. Yeah, we're just trying to say, like, big 10-cost models are now... They hold a point. They are harder to kill rather than living forever. Experimental. This is one that a bunch of people complained had too much card draw. Mortuary Access. People were not... I think Special Infusion is now Signature. People already thought this was acceptably good. But it definitely is better with it. Kentorai went up in health. Draw Fumes was rewritten. Insanitary went to melee skill 7, and Leftover Parts was rewritten. Scalpel, yep, off the table. Yep. And Leftover Parts, Summon Model heals 4. What were we doing previously with that? So previously... Oh, actually. Yeah, Special Infusion. Okay. Previously, Leftover Parts let you do it twice. Now it just heals. Totally fine. And we were skill 7 with our raise value 3. That's fine. Those need to be a little higher payoff. Sewer Doctor. Title changed to Malpractitioner. Good title. And Invigorating Research heals 4. Invigorating Research, is that a trigger or what? Plastic Surgery. Target gains Graph Token and heals 4. Okay, Graph Tokens were the thing people were like, about, and they do not appear to have changed. Rogue Necromancy went down to speed 6, needed. Horn of Goat was rewritten. Stolen Lab Equipment Crouton had its Graft cards rewritten. Graft now reads, remove it to place and give poison. Remove a poison token to deal 3 damage, or make a ski marker within 4. And then at the end of the turn, you may remove it to heal 2. Previously, Graft was remove the token to declare an attack action print on a non-master ally within 6 if it was printed on the card, and you could use it for those exact same things. Good. That ability was a little bit too good. Let's see how Horn of Goat has changed. I have not played against this model, but Rogue Necromancy was probably the scariest model around. Damage 3, still has rough stitching, still has legs unexpected play, so still has improvised anatomy. Pretty tough. Horn of Goat. They don't appear to have hit the things about this model people really didn't like other than lowering its speed. Horn of Goat previously was remove a poison token to deal a damage to the model that removed a token this way, and now it is deal a damage or deal 2 by removing a poison. That's better. Come on, guys. What are we doing? Spare parts on the Chihuahua was rewritten. Kill it, draw 3 cards, enemy models gain within 4 gain a poison token. I think it was kill it and draw 3 cards and discard 1. Enemy models within 1 gain a poison token. Great. They made it better. They've done the thing they want, which is they want you to be using Spare Chihuahua to just blitz people. It now has a better attack. Skill 6 instead of 5 with grab on built in. You do not have to declare grab on, but you always can. And then Flesh Constructs. Let's check those out. Used to be health 7 and draw fumes. Removed a token from a target enemy and gained fast. And could gain a focus if you got a raise, which was probably not happening with a stat of 5 versus willpower. So now we don't need a raise. We just give out poison nearby. Yeah, that's fine. Biggest change, Malpractitioner is much better than Sewer Doctor. Overall, I wish the Flesh Construct had gone down. I'm glad I wish the Rogue Necromancer had gone down in power a little bit more than just the speed 6, and I'm glad the graph tokens are now reasonable. Tormented got kicked, is what I've heard, because they were very strong. We've got Spirit of Betrayal, Terrifying 6. Woof. I gotta tell you, I think that is a pretty good defense to have. Not being able to drain stones or use triggers is tough. It's just tough. So we've got Undying, damage dealt to it by 2 for models with upgrades attach. What did it not previously read like that? Injustice upgrades. So if your opponent gives out their own upgrades, it doesn't benefit. Jacked on Ensouled. So their Terrifying has actually gone up. Fine. Montresor, Curse to Watch. Cannot target the same model more than once. Pulled here and there, moved. Good. Pulled here and there is apparently just going away. And Suffocating requires an Injustice. Curse to Suffocating is... Previously, they just anything that activated had to discard a card or green slow. Good. Still very good. Curse to Watch. Okay, so your Obey now works like most Obeys. Yeah, that's fine. Drowned had their Riptide rewritten. Hanged had On Your Heels deleted. The Ferryman pulled in my wake requires a stone. Crooked Men. Uncheck Read TN. Increase. Deleted Flight on the Guilty. And Flood of Guilt gains signature on Wailing Doom. I think that's the... Yep, that's a crew card. So your pull people now has, yeah, sensible. Crew actions should have signature icons. Power level came down generally, especially movement. Urami got no changes. Shikomi went down speed 1. Datsuba, melee skill up to 7. Damage down from 4 to 3. Gaki, obscene feet has a TN of 4. How obscene were those feet? Are we talking like, how nasty were these grippers? I don't know what that even was. I think it was like remove remains, do something. Remove all unmarks within range. This model heals 1 for each removed this way. It now has a TN instead of not being a flip. Also, it's Obscene Feast, not Obscene Feet of either kind. Emissary has changed. Carrion Crow was rewritten, and Hard to Kill is replaced with Flight. Interesting to see Hard to Kill replaced with Flight, but the model should have it. Vanish trigger deleted. So let's see what Carrion Crow looks like. Friendly model, +1 damage for each remains marker within 2, then remove remains marker within 2, uncapped, and not friendly. So in theory, you can do 11 damage with this. I want to emphatically state you are not doing 11 damage with it, but you know, hypothetically, it's possible. Previously, this was skill 6, damage 3, and then just had that first italics line here and not the remain stuff. And then exhumation, your ability to summon a mindless zombie. You used to have a vanish trigger. You got flight, you don't need it, maybe. I don't know. I think this guy now dies. So maybe not the best emissary. 10 foundries. Okay. Least popular crew to write battle reports about. Is that true? I mean, least popular factions, certainly. Let's start with... So, Neil Henry, level, cost of soulstone, level does not... So we got to check that. And then the Foreman and Sentinel Steel changed. So the only thing that supposedly changed were the cards here. Sentinel Steel has refined, constant motion, resilient, and railroaded. What is new there? Go pull up my Foundry cards from the old ones. So Sentinel of Steel, she did not have railroaded. She just says no. Great, totally fine. And then hazard pay and a new ability on the Foreman. I bet the new ability is also railroaded. Just for no pardon by work. Drain stone to heal 3 when it activates. And hazard pay when it would gain a token, any token, instead of just staggered and slowed. Good. That feels better. And then what the fuck is up with level? Come on, Kang, be better. Sorry. It doesn't cost a stone. Maybe that's a change they made and then reverted or something. I don't know. He looks the exact same to me. Yeah. Maybe it's part of the ARG. I don't know. Brilliance rewritten. Oh boy. I knew a lot of people who had complaints about how Brilliance worked. Specifically Pope DARPA. Brilliance now may remove it to deal 1 or heal it 2. So healing has gone up and it's a may. Well, that's going to make Pope DARPA very happy. On the Roll the Dice crew card, Rig the Deck has been rewritten. Let me pull up the old Rig the Deck. Previously, it gave a Brilliance token and you drew a card. And now you give them a Brilliance token and you rig the top 3 cards of your deck. So that's the old rigging ability. Feels fine. I mean, it has no TN. It's pretty bad. I let them rig 4 and draw 1. I don't know. Give them something here. And then remove draw from everything else. House Always Wins crew card. Pound of Flesh replaced with Debt Called In. Previously, Pound of Flesh was a non-signature action. Cast 2-inch, skill 6, targeting defense, damage of 3. It required you to remove a Brilliance token from the target and did irreducible damage. 3 irreducible damage on a cast, not lighting the world on fire. We now have a Debt Called In. It's a larger range, less damage, and now you rig the enemy deck. Fine. Both crew cards and across the entire crew. Focused replaced with Insight. So they've removed giving out Focused and they've given you Insight instead. Gwyneth Maddox is Unimpressed, does not cost a stone. This is the ability that reduce damage when the enemy declared a trigger. So now just she gets 2 reduction if they declare any trigger. Wildcard gained Aces High and Dark Bet gained Crazy 8s. Are these just those cards are 14s? Aces High, cards with a value of 11. This model flips, no cheats are considered value 11. 13, let them cheat them. And then Crazy 8s. When this model flips, not cheats and 8s, it infuses a soul stone. Let him get it off of a cheat too. Come on. Tannin had the invisible hand rewritten, and inner glow heals more. The invisible hand now targets a marker, make a ski marker in base contact with the target, and remove the target. And allies within 4 of this model heal 2 and may gain a brilliance token. Previously, the invisible hand moved him. So it makes a scheme instead of moving him. Good. Movement down. Beckoner, Hopeless Revelation triggered a lure. I bet that is out of brilliance. Target gains an insight token. Nope. Oh, cool. Insight, by the way, is both positive and like if you insight works the way you would hope it does. It affects your enemy if you put them on, letting you look at the top card of their deck, and if it's on your model, it lets you look at the top card of your deck. So it is depends who applies it. Kodo's Reading the Room was rewritten. This model activates, may discard a card to have friendly models within 2 inches gain an insight token. That's pretty good. Was it previously giving out focused? Insight is really the you want insight and not focused, because they functionally do the same thing, except focused gives you a chance to flip a joker, and insight you get to know what's happening. So you still flip 2 cards if you want to. Previously, Reading the Room gave itself a focused, so pretty substantial buff as a supportive ability. Sen has the same ability. Siren Song, Distracted, or Brilliance changed to Friendly Token. Enemy models within 6 with a friendly token. Good. Nice. Improvised Weapon may remove any friendly token to do its additional damage rather than a Brilliance. Get in there, trigger deleted, and lead the way moves 3. Drawn a Brilliance between all stars of the Brilliance. Add Hopeless Revelation. We've seen that. Unimpressed that costs stone. Okay, so that's everything. Last Blossom. Our crew actions gained signature. Our Oya boon gained parry, and our signature action was replaced. So let's see what those look like. Parry, again, is the same thing the Vix have, where you can spend a stone to reduce their skill by 2. It is also not on the card. We now have Grappling Hook. Target a model train place a model anywhere within range based on the target, and it has a sudden strike trigger. Feels good. And Fractured, Twisting Mist heals 2 instead of 1, and is TN 3 instead of whatever it previously was. Ototo's Tenacity is replaced with Unyielding Resolve. Heal 4 for a stone instead of discarding a card to heal 2. Katnaka Sniper had their signature rewritten, and Banying Ninja vanish once per turn. These seem fine. Their new signature is make a shadow marker. 1 ally within 2 of the marker gains an adaptable. I bet they previously had movement, and now they don't. Oni. Speed 6 on Tengu, TN 6 on a movement. Story of Suzaku, speed 7 instead of 8. Wind's Wrath is a pulse instead of whatever it previously was. One or the other, TN 7. Bolt over deleted on Lady Yumi. Dimensional Rifts replaced with Healing Void. Hunger's Reach, Rally Beyond gains signature. So action gains the signature. Dimensional Rifts has a new ability where Healing Void, I'm going to bet this lets you use a rift to heal yourself. Tangled Spirits, Beyond's Invasion rewritten. Let's check out these crew cards, though. So Hunger's Reach, Rally the Beyond, gain signature. Yep. Choose friendly on one place in a base contact with this model, so let's you move them. And then Entangled Spirits saw 2 changes. Healing Void, resolve an action where it ended. You may choose to remove it to gain 1. And Beyond's Invasion is make a rift marker +1 or more for each raise. And then you can spend 3. If friendly masters kill this game, summon it with 7 health into base contact with the main marker. That's cool. Summon your master, Realms War, Death Maiden, nothing. That's very cool. Yeah. Seems like cool changes. Shadow Emissary, Rising Dragon was written, and Dragon's Wisdom was removed. Hard to Kill replaced with Aspect of the Dragon. Last one, because again, I am not covering Qi and Gong or any of the other new keywords like banished or ampersand. So Shadow Emissary now has had Rising Dragon rewritten. This was its place ability that could only move it within elevation. Now it's just a leap, 6 inches, cost 6. If it changed elevation, it gains a bolstered, which takes it to a 6/7. That's pretty good. Has the same trigger of Dragon's Fire, and then instead of having hard to kill, it went down a health and gained aspect of the dragon, which lets it attach one of 3 aspects, which lets it get access to Butterfly Jump and Intuition, Incorporeal and Dark Bargain, and Flight and Lightning Strike. I gotta tell you guys, this one probably fine. This one is gonna get used sometimes and it's gonna be good. This is coked out, man. Butterfly Jump is exactly the rule you want to have. Wow. Wow. Well, that's the changelog. Overall, I'm very positive on the reduction in damage we see across the board on stat 4 models. I'm happy to see TNs go up on movement abilities and speed come down on many models. I'm happy to see more crew actions get signatures. I'm happy to see these bombastic 2 and 3 cost Soulstone triggers, and generally I think I'm pretty positive on this changelog. I think the core rule changes to add 15 to have 15 skills instead of 13, to rewrite the strategies so that they do not all score double on turn 4, and to allow for scoring 6 scheme points. I think these all stand out as things that I'm happy to see, and I'm excited to see how this turns out. I got to run, but it's been a delight. I hope if you bothered to watch much or any of this, you enjoyed it. Truly, I was out of my depth. So maybe I'll do this in chunks if I do it in the future, if people care to see that. Later days.